Great. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the regular June meeting of the Concord Zoning Board of Adjustment. We will follow our usual procedure this evening, which is to say we will take each case as it appears on the agenda. We will, in most cases, not all cases, ask the appellant to step forward and be sworn in and offer us whatever testimony he or she would like us to hear. We ask that they confine their presentation to 10 minutes. We will then ask the appellant to step down, and we will solicit testimony from anyone in the audience who is in favor of the appeal, followed by anyone in the audience who might be in opposition to the appeal. All of that, we will check in with code enforcement to see if there are, planning to see if there are any comments from their office. And following all of that, if there has been any testimony offered that seems to bear factual clarification, the appellant will have the opportunity to offer that clarification, not new evidence, prior to our closing the public testimony portion of the hearing. Under most circumstances, the board will act on each case before proceeding on to the next one. Our first item of business this evening is actually a request for a rehearing. That's a little different. This is for a case that we heard last month. And in the case of a request for a rehearing, the board does not typically take testimony. We have received written submission, and the criteria for granting a rehearing are different from those of granting any of the other relief that we grant. We'll go into that in a moment if necessary. But the case is Shaheen and Gordon, PA, requesting a rehearing to the denial of ZBA 0406-2026 on the May 6th meeting, which was a request for Gilberto Reyes and Nancy Sanchez, who had asked for variances to allow for an 8-foot side setback and a 5-foot side setback where 15 feet side setback is required, and that is on 20 Emily Way in medium residential RM district. The reason that they are requesting a rehearing is that the board denied the application for variance, and the appellant has asked for a new hearing. It is generally true for the board that the only reason for granting a new hearing is that A, we believe that new evidence has come forward that was not available at the time of the hearing, which is relevant to our decision, or B, we made an error in procedure or law. Have you all had a chance to read the submission?
Yes.
Starting with Mr. Wallner, did you see any evidence of an error of procedure or law or new information?
I didn't see any error, nor did I see there was any new information. I mean, we were aware of the uniqueness of the property in terms of its configuration. We were aware of it, the drainage easement issues. So in reviewing this, I didn't see any new information.
Mr. Winters, how do you see it?
Yes, I agree. I think that the memo, I appreciate them coming forward and sort of summarizing the position, and that it is unique. And I don't think we disputed that in our deliberations, but I think this particular the use I don't think was reasonable, and I don't think anything in the memo really addresses or changes that position.
Ms. Spector-Morgan, how do you see it?
I obviously wasn't here, but I did read the minutes and the request and the staff memo, and based on what I saw, I don't see any basis for granting a rehearing.
Ms. Rice?
Likewise, I don't see a basis for it.
Very good. I agree with my colleagues. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I will make a motion to deny the request for a rehearing because the board does not see that it made any error in its original decision, nor is any new evidence being presented that might affect our decision.
Very good. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to deny the request for rehearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. The request is denied. There is one other item I should bring to your attention before we proceed. One case this evening, which is case 4.7 on the agenda, will be postponed. We will postpone the hearing on that. They have requested that we do so in order for them to work out some of the details of their request with the city. This is case 4.7, Larissa and Robert J. Cagle, who are requesting a variance concerning a fence on Airport Road. Do I hear a motion to recess this case to the July 1st? July 1st meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That case will be heard in July unless the appellant requests otherwise.
One item, Mr. Chairman, before we move to public hearings, as we did last month, I would recommend the board handle the regional impact determinations for all cases in one swift motion before we get into the public hearings.
Would anyone care to make one swift motion?
I will make a swift motion to find that none of the applications before us tonight have the potential for regional impact.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. None of the cases are considered to have a regional impact. That will then bring us to our first case on the regular agenda this evening, which is 4.1 Catherine Franco for MH Concord LLC, DBA Applebee's Restaurant, and they're asking for variances to allow an additional 13 signs where only 3 are allowed. And they are also asking for a variance related, I believe, to the same situation under 4.1.1 to allow for an additional 312 square feet of signage where the maximum allowed in the GWP is 200 square feet of signage. All of this would be for the address is on, where is it?
265 Loudon Road.
265 Loudon Road. Is there anyone here for Applebee's? Please come forward.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I am good, thank you.
Before we begin, just for minutes purposes, who are we appointing to vote on this case?
Ms. Perkins, would you sit on this one, please? Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. Would you identify yourself for the record as you testify, have a seat, and fill us in on what you'd like us to know?
My name is Catherine Franco. I am an area director for our Concord Applebee's on Loudon Road. And today I'm here to propose, we are trying to ask permission if we could put white vinyl apple stickers on our awnings. The awnings currently stand as just red. And our proposal is to, it's 1 apple across 2 awnings at a time. There's a total of 13 awnings, so it would be a total of 7 full apples. They're not illuminated. It doesn't restructure anything, and they are completely removable.
No words.
No words, just the apples.
Can I ask a question? Was there an administrative appeal about whether or not these were signs?
No administrative appeal was filed. The
Just
determination was made that
Okay.
because it is the company's logo being transposed, that it was considered signage under the ordinance.
Gotcha. Thank you.
We could
I don't think it's a sign. I don't think it needs a variance,
We-
but we can get to that.
we can challenge that. Well, actually, before we go any further, we should take that issue up. It's the question has been raised in as much as the logo is what it is, but does not have any lettering or invite anyone in or out or give any direction, that from the point of view of the board, this may not be considered a sign, in which case a variance would not be.
This has already been in
Necessary.
front of the Architectural Design Review Committee. They are in support of this moving forward to the planning board for final architectural design review pending the receipt of the variance.
Very good.
Well, if we find there's no need for a variance, it can just go, right?
Then they wouldn't, if it's not considered signage and you determine that's not signage, then it no longer needs to go to the planning board because it would not be signage.
Do you have the definition of sign?
I can find that for you there.
Sorry, I should have looked that
That's
up
fine.
before I got here.
As in, show me a sign.
Yeah, that would be good to know, because depending on future applications, whether we want to have a say or not. It's like, but I didn't see the words.
I don't think it's in here.
Where's my glossary? There it is.
Oh dear, okay.
Uh-huh.
There it is. Any device that is sufficiently visible. Oh,
How come there's all those lines drawn through it? Or, no, that's just my eyesight going bad.
sign.
The sign is part to or attached to an
yeah, it's a
awning,
sign.
canopy, or other plastic providing coverage. Yes.
So it's considered a
I
sign?
think it's a sign, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sign
it's not solely my
Any
determination.
device.
Good.
It's designed to attract the attention of such persons or communicate information to them about the products, accommodations, services, or
I have one
activities
sign
on the
on
lot
it.
where the device is located.
Because I was thinking about the, that mural, like what would that be classified as? You know the.
That was a sign.
Oh, did we rule?
We ruled that was a sign that we weren't
The
going to
one
grant the
associated
variance.
with the proposed casino
With the barber shop.
of the barber
Oh,
shop.
the barber shop, but I was thinking about the mural
Mural
on,
on the side of the building.
it's on, I think, Center Street as you cross.
Dixon Avenue, the
Yeah,
store.
it's an artistic.
Yes.
What is that?
That was not associated, that was a public art project. It's within the city's right of way, so it's not even associated with advertising of any sort.
Because it's not a product.
Right.
Right.
I suppose you could argue that because it is their logo
Can you go back 1 second?
Sure.
and it's
I can.
recognized as their logo, that
A sign that is part
Covered.
of or attached to an
To their
awning, a
particular
canopy, or
business.
other
Yeah.
fabric, plastic, or structural.
Here.
Okay, so that's included in the definition. Okay,
Yes, it is.
thank you.
Sign, awning, yeah.
Well, I don't want to leave this aside without having made some determination, since we brought it up.
The determination made by the zoning, the assistant city planner for zoning at the time was that the definition was clear. It indicated awnings were considered to
Right,
be.
I'm worried about our determination.
Absolutely. Yep.
Thanks.
I will move to find that these are signs and require variances.
All right, is there anyone else who'd like to second that?
I'll second that.
Any discussion on it? No?
So I still do wonder with to attract attention of such persons or communicate information to them about products, accommodations, services, or activities. They don't serve apples. It's not an apple orchard. I mean, it's a restaurant, but I mean, to me, it doesn't look like a sign. There's no words. It doesn't refer to cooking or food or service.
But on their application, they say they're doing it to attract business.
Oh, well, there you go. Sorry.
Just being honest.
No,
You could
that's
vote
good.
nay.
That's good. No.
I don't see it as a sign either.
Yeah, I don't.
I-
see that.
I-
There's your unique condition.
I do understand my colleague's argument, and I don't think
Totally understand.
they're indefensible, but I just don't see it as a sign.
I guess I don't necessarily want to go against architectural
Okay.
review. It's my
You think they're wrong, that's your job.
So we have a motion and a second. We've had some discussion. Any further discussion? No? Anyone in favor of the motion to find that it is a sign and therefore does need a variance, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Nay. The vote is 3-2. The board finds that,
Nick, did you vote?
How'd you vote?
I said aye.
Oh, you said aye, okay.
oh, okay, sorry. You had it. The vote is 3-2. The board has found that it is a sign, and we should proceed then with your request. Can you fill us in on where you think the hardship is?
Well, honestly, across all of our company, we've been just kind of cosmetically fixing our restaurants. They're a little outdated. It sits in the parking lot of the mall that's been kind of abandoned for quite some time, and we do our best to try to upkeep the property. I really don't think it has an impact on the surrounding businesses. I don't think it has an impact on the people, and it just serves as to beautify our building and kind of stand out in front of that mall that sits behind it.
Very good.
That's the hardship to me.
Is there anything else you'd like us to know?
No, I mean, we're also more than willing to compromise as well if there's something that you request other than, if you wanted to limit the amount of apples we could put on, stuff like that. We're willing
I can see
to
a
compromise.
Supreme Court case coming out of it.
Yeah. I'm not
How
going
many
that
apples can you
far.
put on a building?
I'm not going that far. This is out of my realm to begin
Yeah,
with.
6 apples.
But not 7.
Again, I will note the architectural design review is all set with the design. They are recommending planning board approve pending the variance.
Right.
Okay, good to know.
Is there, again, is there anything else that you'd like?
No, thank you.
All right, any questions from the board?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone who wishes to be heard in favor of this appeal? Is there anyone who wishes to be heard in opposition to it? Any comments from planning?
Nothing that I haven't already said.
All right, with that, we'll close the public testimony portion of the hearing. And I guess what I'll do is start with Ms. Perkins.
Just a clarification, that was 4.1 and 4.1.
We discussed both, but we
Okay.
need a separate motion for each
Just want
variance.
to make sure.
Yep.
Yep.
Yes, I see that in the notes. I would say approve it, because I'm the one who doesn't think it's a sign, so.
Whether,
Easy
notwithstanding,
peasy
so,
for me, yeah,
notwithstanding area and/or content.
correct.
Okay. Ms. Spector-Morgan?
My heart wants to approve it, and it makes complete common sense to approve it, again, because our sign ordinance is stupid, but I just don't see the hardship. Because there's nothing special about the property that requires these signs. I mean, it's there now, it's operating just fine, and this is just a marketing thing, so.
Mr. Winters?
Can I ask a question of either staff or anyone? If we approve a variance like this, are they bound by this particular sign, or could they, you know?
You can condition it to be such if you choose.
Because in my mind, the signs, although I do agree it's a sign by the definition, it's primarily a red, I mean, it's mostly a small outline. The actual sign portion of it is pretty modest and
Already existing.
I don't know if I'd say I don't know if I'd go as far as tasteful,
I would
but
certainly.
it doesn't really, it doesn't distract the driver like, you know, if you had 7 signs that are all like, you know, cash now for gold or something.
I would certainly encourage the board, if you do go down the route of approving this, that you make it specific to the design as presented and will be approved by the architectural design review process. That way, the size variance that you're granting doesn't then turn into an additional, you know, 112 square feet of additional words on the building.
Right. Because although, so based on that answer, I think in my mind the hardship is, it's, the area right now is it's a sort of a suffering area that is, I hate to use the word blight, but it's a known area in the community that needs improvement. Obviously, there's work on that, but no one knows exactly when that's going to materialize. So having, you know, and a couple of similar restaurants have struggled to stay in business or have gone out altogether. So having a functioning business there that can get attention to itself, I think, is a positive thing, and it's a tasteful, it's a tasteful sign. So I would think that's a hardship.
Mr. Wallner?
I agree with Andrew about the hardship, being that it's the current climate and environment that it's in right now, with the uncertain future of the surrounding areas. I think that's a hardship in my mind, and I think it meets the criteria for a variance.
I'm inclined to agree with you and with Andrew.
My last comment from staff is that we are actively looking at some interim changes to the sign ordinance as well that would hopefully address this type of situation.
I've been hearing that for 6 years.
But we actually, now that we have a city planner coming on and I can focus on my actual job of doing things, yes.
If you want to create some really muddy water, you can tell us that the rules aren't the rules that we think are the rules.
And today, that is not the case. I can say with confidence that the rules are the rules tonight.
Okay. All right. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I will make the motion in case 0365-2026. I move to grant the variance from Article 28.6, sign regulations, Section 28.69, signs not permitted in non-residential districts, permitted building signs to allow a total of 13 signs where only 3 are allowed because of the criteria under RSA 67433, with the caveat that it had no additional words.
Limited to the sign.
That is limited to the signs design presented.
As approved by Design Review Committee.
Thank you. Have been met based on the record before us, and I move to adopt the applicant's proposed findings as the board's finding of facts.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion?
To read the second one.
Oh.
You do
We
vote
have to
Well,
vote
we have to vote
Oh,
on
that's
this one.
true, yeah.
We'll vote on this one, and then we'll
Okay.
deal with the second one. All in favor of the motion as made and seconded, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
No.
Would anyone care to make a motion on item 4.1.1? That is the area of the sign as distinct from the content.
I'm happy to continue.
Mhm.
Case 0366-2026, I move to grant the variance from Article 28.6, sign regulations, Section 28-6-9, signs not permitted in non-residential districts, permitted building signs to allow for an additional 312 square feet of signage where the maximum allowed in the GWP is 200 square feet because of all the criteria under RSA 67433, based on the designs presented to us, have been met based on the records before us. I move to adopt the applicant's proposed findings as the board's finding of facts.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
The vote is 4-1, again, with Ms. Spector Morgan in the minority, and the variances are both approved. That will bring us to the next item on our agenda, which is item 4.2. Jordan Wilhelm of Granite Recovery Centers for 38 South Street, LLC, requests a special exception to allow a rooming house at 38 South Street in the downtown residential RD district. This is case 0382-2026. Is Mr. Wilhelm or someone representing him here to speak?
And Ann is sitting in on this one.
Yes, Ann, would you sit in on this one, please? Please come forward while I make a shambles of my job. Do you both swear to tell the truth and nothing but?
Yes. I do.
Would you please identify yourselves for the record as you testify?
Kurt Luxa. I am the property manager at this location.
I'm Colleen Tremblay. I'm the Director of Operations for this location.
What would you like us to know? This is a special exception, not a variance, by the way.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. What would you like us to know?
So currently the property is classified as a room and hotel. That's the way it's zoned. We would like to switch it to sober living is what we would like to put in that building. It's really not much different than what it is currently.
What is it currently?
It's a room and house at the moment.
Well,
And
It's a rooming house that was never formally approved as a rooming house.
was it a non-conforming? Okay, so,
This is in order to move forward with what they need for state licensing. They need to be conforming with zoning, and so there needs to be an approval for the rooming house use at the property.
If it was
that
not
was the
approved,
existing use? Okay.
if it was not approved, why isn't it a variance rather than a special exception?
The use is permitted by special exception in this district.
Oh, I see.
They just don't have one.
They just don't have one. There's no historic record of the city having ever granted approval for the rooming house use on this property.
All right.
And the state won't recognize them. That's, okay.
Yeah. Just a quick question on the side here. Don't the rooming houses have inspections too? Like, they have to be registered with the city, so there's certain inspections that take place? Does that work the same way with recovery centers?
Yeah, yes, it does.
Okay.
But this is not on the inspection list.
I am not aware that it is on the inspection list at this stage.
So it is. I've been managing this building for 6 years, and every year we get the inspection for the licensing to be permitted as a room and house through code enforcement and the fire department. I actually next Thursday, I believe, I have that inspection with Jason from Code Enforcement and Lucas from the Fire Department for our annual inspection.
Okay.
So they're not on the list, but they've still had inspections?
It's been, assessing has considered it to be a boarding house in the assessing records for a number of years, but there is no record that the city has ever approved that use. It was a single-family home back in 1930 when it was built, and it's just evolved over time without approvals.
Would you like to fill us in on the high points of the criteria for special exception, please?
So with the sober living, it would be people struggling with substance abuse after they get out of treatment. It gives them a safe place to live with their peers, to not be tempted, with substances. There's accountability amongst the peers and amongst the people that run and manage it, like Colleen.
Yeah.
They'll have a place to call home where no one's picking on them, where no one's looking down on them, which is a big thing when it comes to substance abuse. The being looked down upon, because a lot of people do that. And this gives them that safe comfort space to continue with their treatment, to continue to get better, to become a productive member of society.
What about, excuse me, there are certain specific requirements of a special exception which you haven't addressed yet. What about those?
Which specifics are you referring to?
From your application, the
Your
findings you
application.
had to put in for why it would not create undue traffic
Why?
congestion.
Yeah.
Why it wouldn't overload public water, sewage, or drainage, excessive demand for municipal police, fire, and schools, meeting the supplemental standards in the ordinance, health, safety, general welfare, appropriate location for the use, consistent with the spirit and intent of the master plan.
All those things.
All those. All right.
You did address them in your app, but I like to, at the public hearing,
Right.
at least
So-
honor those questions.
I don't have a copy of that application in front of me, and that's kind of a little too far for me to read. But as far, and I mean, I can hit some of those points, that's really not a problem. As far as the school is concerned, because these are all women over the age of 18, there's no children in the house. This is strictly for adults. So there will be no added stress to the school systems because there will be no kids there. As far as the city services are concerned, this building has been operating as a room and house for, like this gentleman over here said, for many, many years. So that's not going to create any additional impact to it. There's 7 bedrooms. We're looking at 10 people in total.
10, yeah.
We're looking at 10 people in total. So with it being a room and house, for the past decade plus, 2 decades, there's no impact. It's not like we're trying to turn a single family home into a room and house. As far as fire, police, these people are, all of our residents that will be there. They have their own accountability. There's strict rules and guidelines that they must follow. If they don't follow these rules and guidelines, well, then they have to leave.
I oversee all that as well. So
Do you-
I oversee the people that come into the house. I oversee the programming that they follow within the house.
And is there someone living on site?
Yes. I have a house manager that I oversee her. I've picked a house manager that I trust that will make sure that they're going to what they should be doing and following the rules. If not, they have to leave.
And then as far as like parking, some of them will have cars. There is a driveway there. We're not looking to put 15 cars out on the side of the street because that is uncalled for. The house manager will have a vehicle. The house has a vehicle. If they do need to go somewhere, they have a van that is for their disposal to use. What was a couple of the other specifics? I know that was some of them.
There was,
I've got them up on the screen right now. I can zoom in a little bit if that helps.
And I have a parking question for staff.
So in the requested use will not create hazards to health, safety, or general welfare. So all of the residents that live there, that will be living there, they've come out of treatment centers. Again, this falls under the strict rules and guidelines and accountability for the building itself, for the house itself. There's nightly meetings. This is what you're doing. This is what you have to do. Does anybody have any issues? Because they can all be addressed then and there inside the house as a group, as a functioning group of residents. There won't be any extra police presence, no extra fire presence, ambulance presence, anything like that. The building, being a room and house for many decades already, has a fire alarm system that's call box to the fire department. So that's already in place. There's sprinklers in the basement already in place. It does meet all of the fire department's requests.
Yes,
Couple quick,
please.
let's go quick. Is it, to your knowledge, how long, you said 10, maybe 20 years, I mean, do you know, how long have you guys been working there, and how long has this been a rooming house to your knowledge?
So I have been there for about 5 years now, and I know the gentleman that acquired the property, I believe 8 years ago, before he sold it 2 or 3 years back. He bought it under the assumption that it was a rooming house, and that was almost 10 years ago now.
Okay, so at least, so you don't know exactly, but at least 10 years.
Right.
At least, yeah.
And even before then, the way that the building was set up when he purchased the property was set up in a manner that, well, this clearly is a rooming house.
And is it all women living there now?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Is it going to be a number of the same women staying on in recovery, or it's going to be a whole turnover of population?
It'll be the same amount. It'll be the same women. There will be some turnover in population.
Yeah,
but in general, it'll be the
infrequent, but,
same.
yeah.
But the women who are living there now,
Yeah.
although a number of them are in recovery.
Yes.
Correct.
And do you see this as a possibility that you would be able to house, will some of the people who could come into a situation this currently be unhoused that might help with the homelessness?
No, because one of the biggest things is that you have to be sober. You have to go through a residential treatment program.
You have to come from
Yeah.
directly.
It's possible that
from
they could have
inpatient.
gone in
I
a
see.
house and then gone to treatment and then come in from there, but, yeah.
I see.
Other questions from the board? Yes.
So Mr. Manius's letter raises an issue about parking and off-street parking and asked the question as to why no variance is required. I think I know the answer, but can you provide us with the answer?
I don't know specifically, because I have not chatted with Stephanie about her determination on this, but because this is a grant,
Existing
because this
non-conforming
use
use.
has been existing in this,
Yep.
in actuality for this number of years,
Okay.
we're not considering it to be anything that would require additional approval from the planning board regarding parking or design for the building.
Other questions from the board?
One quick one.
Yes, please.
In the last couple of years, any police calls or ambulance calls?
No, there hasn't been.
Other questions? Ann, anything?
No questions.
Anything else you'd like us to know?
No, I think that kind of covers it all.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here who would like to be heard in favor of this appeal? Do I see a hand? No. Is there anyone who would like to be heard in opposition to it? I see a couple hands back in the back. Would you folks come forward, or at least one at a time, or if you're a pair, together? I'll let you decide whether or not you're a pair.
They haven't signed in if they're on their way back.
Swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Would you identify yourselves for the record as you have a seat, and identify yourselves for the record as you testify, please?
I'm Scott Shorey. I've lived at 60 Concord Street, directly across the street from 38 South Street, since July 2020. Bought the house in January 2021, so I've seen goings on for many years. And I do appreciate what they're doing over there, so just to get that out of the way.
Okay.
My name's Louis Manius. I live diagonally
Have a
across
seat.
the street from the property, and I had some concerns which I've submitted, and I was able to get here on time for the meeting.
We do have your letter. If you,
And just in the interest of full disclosure, I work with Mr. Manius from time to time. I use him as an appraiser. But
Very
I don't
good.
think that
I'm
was-
sorry?
I work with you from time to time.
Oh,
And I hadn't made the connection. My office, I have not personally, some of my colleagues have also used your firm, but I don't believe that's a conflict.
if you don't believe
I
it,
don't believe it.
then that's satisfactory. All right, Mr. Manius, we do have your letter. If you'd like to either add to the testimony that it presents or fill us in on it, and we can,
well, I'd like to just hit a
Written
couple of the
public
key
record.
points and respond to a couple of the
please do.
comments were brought up by the applicant. I've lived there for 12 years, and I've seen the property change. When I moved into the property at 37 South Spring Street, that property was occupied as a rooming house by gentlemen that had recently come out of prison. And I got to know a lot of them, so I was very aware of what was going on in the house. Once the ownership changed, the business that was represented was that it was a rooming house to be used for individuals that are in treatment programs with dedicated transportation. And the dedicated transportation was a van that they used to take them from the house to their treatment program and then back at the end of the day or to whatever activities they had going on. That was my understanding. And you can see in the photographs on the back, there's a large white van that they use for transport. They actually have two of them that go to that building. As far as the comment relative to never having a police call over there, that's untrue. We've watched police go there. So I know for a fact that they have been there to answer whatever calls they needed to, but their statement was not accurate. So
How
that's,
often?
pardon?
How often?
I would say a couple of times a year. But I think I think one of the comments I made was that they should provide a list which is available from the police station as to what calls were answered and how many times. That way the board would have that information available, because the change from boarding house to rooming house, while it's mostly semantics, it does require certain other factors. It needs parking. And that's one of the biggest things that I talked about in my letter. And you can see from the photographs that parking is a problem on that section of Concord Street, which is adjacent to that building and where their driveway is located. There's no lined spaces on the street. And we have issues every day with 10 to 12 cars parking on that street. Included in that are clients of theirs who have parked there for 3 weeks at a time and not moved their cars. And I know this for a fact because there was one directly in front of my house, and the plows had to go around it for 3 weeks. And at the end of that time period, I actually saw the woman who was the owner of the car, and I said, "Why did you leave your car here?" She goes, they tell us we can't move. We can't leave the premises, so I leave my car there. Well, at the end of that time period, I cleaned the street because there was 6 inches of ice there, and it was a danger for people. So parking is a big concern, and I included in my letter the parking requirements. And initially it was, I think on their application it said 10 rooms. So you have to have a resident manager, which they've talked about, and 9 rooms. So that means, according to the parking requirements, they need 11 spaces.
Okay,
That's
so they
under
have 7
section
rooms.
2872.
They have 7 rooms.
They have 7
7 rooms.
7 occupants right now that, that we're aware of.
7
Um,
rooms,
7
9 occupants.
Physical rooms.
Yeah.
These are 9 occupants. Okay. So if there were 7 rooms, they would still need 9 parking spaces. They have parking spaces for 1 in the driveway for the van. And if the van's not there, they can squeeze 2. Other than that, they have no other parking.
Is that area not in part of the snow parking ban?
No, it is not.
It's
It is not within the
Okay.
downtown parking.
No.
As somebody who's oversees parking as part of my normal job,
Yeah.
there is a requirement that if you were to contact the parking division, any vehicle that's parked for more than 48 hours can be ticketed and towed.
Well, we actually thought of doing that, but we guessed that it
Sure.
was a resident there, and we did not want to
Sure.
create an additional problem for them, especially recognizing what they're going through and what the program that they're offering over there is doing. We do appreciate it. But we just want to make sure that the application for the special exception has to follow a specific set of requirements. They didn't do that. They didn't tell you everything that's there. And that's why my letter is pretty involved, and I wanted them to have a copy, but they can get it from the public record here. They said it was a shared residential home with structured transportation arrangements. That's great, okay? My neighbor, Scott, my next door neighbor, spoke with Jordan, and he said they have 2 apartments in there.
My wife did, yes.
Oh, your wife did?
Yes.
And they had 2 apartments and 6 rooms. Well, I understood there was only a single manager's apartment prior to that. So how did they get an application in without a permit for a second apartment? So that was disclosed to Scott's wife. Oh, that wasn't brought to the city for a permit when it should have been, because it's a change in use.
I can elaborate a little. I believe they talked about how Jordan wanted 2 residents to be able to have cars there because he trusts them with cars, just in case that, so they have the comfortability of knowing their cars are there. If they need to go somewhere, 2 of them are allowed to use those cars. But I believe they were going to be living there in 2 apartments, or 2 rooms, I guess.
Is that area metered?
No,
Oh, well, that's the
That is
problem.
it's outside the meter zone.
What's that?
It's
Yeah, that's-
outside of the meter zone.
See, if you could meter it, that would solve the problem. I mean, I'm sure you guys went like that, but it'd free up some spaces.
Zoning board to the rescue, eh?
Just punt it to my other committee, sure.
That's right, that's right.
but
Where's the handout?
you can see from the photographs, and Scott will tell you that there was a car that always parked in front of his house, and their van has backed into it before. So the more cars we have parking on the street, the more difficult it is, the more congestion there is. And not only is it a danger to other people's vehicles, it presents a potential danger for pedestrians. It is a very small section. There's only 3 houses on each side of the street of Concord Street between South Spring and South Street. So it's only 6 houses that are there. And we usually have 10 to 12 vehicles on the street every day. The assessment card said the occupancy level was 7, but on their application they said the occupancy level of 10 residents is consistent with normal residential use. So we have one that says 7, they testified there's 6, their application says 7. I mean, their application says 10.
I thought they said
So,
10 people.
my question,
7 rooms, right?
my
Okay.
question was, are they increasing the number of occupants from what's already there? And if so, why didn't they address that as part of the variance? And if it's supposed to be more similar to a halfway house, do they have to report the police calls and stuff like that to the type of facility? In order to have your question answered, I don't think it's unreasonable to have them submit a record of logs from the police station to show whether or not, and to show how many calls were made over the 5 years that or 6 years that they've had it. And they can actually compare that to, I believe it's 36 South Street, which is a rooming house where there are often individuals there who are right out of incarceration. So you could compare the 2 properties and see, is it a similar amount of police calls or not?
Very good.
Um,
Is there anything else?
Yeah, one of the things they said is it consistent with the neighborhood, and is it going to impact the neighborhood or properties in general?
Mhm.
That's also part of the variance application. And I do testify in front of zoning boards often about property impact due to changes in a use. And if there is a change in use, the only way you can measure that impact is have somebody actually go out and do a study. Because they can tell you, oh yeah, we don't believe that there's an impact. And you can take that at face value. I, as a neighbor, can say, I believe there's an impact.
Do you believe there's an impact?
In many cases, it has been proven that there is an impact.
In this case, do you think there's an impact?
I believe that there might be with added traffic and stuff like that, and change in population, change in use. yes, there very well could be an impact to property value, but that's me as a homeowner looking at that. In order for them to prove that, they should actually hire someone to do a report and give you some data to look at, because anybody can have an opinion. And opinions without data are just that. And I get chided, you know, or I chide other individuals when I do these types of hearings, that if they don't have the data, then it's not worth anything except the paper that's written on. In many cases,
I will just note, this is not a variance, so the criteria of undue impact on property values is not one of the things the board is considering in this application.
I do understand that that is a very specific criteria. However, it does, I believe, say that if there's any impact to the neighbors or the neighborhood, and property value could be considered an impact.
Is there anything else you'd like us to know?
I don't think so, and I think that the document that I gave you was fairly extensive, maybe a little too wordy, but that's me.
Okay.
And I wanted to give the board as much information as I could from a layperson's standpoint, so that you could have some more to discuss and go through before a decision is made.
Very good.
All in all, with everything you said, it sounds like you do appreciate them as neighbors, and you're not really looking to shut down the rooming house.
I've never said I wanted to do that.
Right.
But I
You want them to do it right.
I want the process to be followed appropriately.
Yep.
And completely.
And you feel the same way.
I feel the same way, yes.
You know, we're definitely not trying to do anything because, you know, to hurt them.
Yep.
Because I do appreciate the work that they do.
Yep.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard in opposition? Any comments from code enforcement?
The only thing I would note is that the city, per zoning, does not make a specific designation about the different types of rooming houses. We only have a single rooming house designation. So in this case, the fact that it's sober living or any other type of rooming house is irrelevant from the consideration from the zoning standpoint.
Thank you. Would the appellants like to offer any factual clarification in response to what you've heard? You can come back up.
Can I just make a comment?
Yeah, come on up. We want to make sure that we get your best side on the TV camera.
I don't know if this is a helpful comment, but because I'm the operator of the facility, if I was I'm able to eliminate, add things to the operation of the facility. I do have the power and ability to obviously tweak the operation of it. I can eliminate the use of vehicles on the property.
Would you accept that as a condition?
Yes.
You mean that they,
I can make it so the residents, for the length of time that they're there, whether they're there 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is, I can eliminate the use of their vehicles, and the only vehicles allowed are the van and the house manager's car. And then the staff who's ever working there that day, their car would be on the property, obviously.
Would it be during
It would be
the day?
one staff member, a house manager, and the van. But none of the residents would be able to have their car on property. I can eliminate the use of
That is
extra
helpful.
vehicles.
Thank you.
Right,
Yeah.
so that would put three vehicles in total, and like you said,
At any
ma'am,
point in time.
like you said, it would be during the day, one car, during the day on the
Staff
side of the
person.
street.
It would be just a staff.
Otherwise, it's
Yeah.
the van and the other.
Yeah, and the van is usually not there for the majority of the day. It's usually only there at night.
Do you have other off-site options for the folks that are there, or?
Yes, they can park their car at one of the other properties that we have
Okay.
that has more space for
And if they
parking.
needed it for work or something?
Yeah,
the
I
van
can
would then
figure
bring
that
them-
out and
okay.
take care of it.
Right.
I don't, yeah, it doesn't have to be a huge,
Yeah.
but I
They-
can
they could
manage
probably get a
that.
spot in a
That's what- that
garage.
sounds like a-
They're not that far. I don't.
Yeah,
Right.
If they want to pay
It's-
for a garage spot.
Right, State Street's only 2 blocks down.
And I'd appreciate the revenue.
What was that?
I would not say no to additional parking revenue.
Oh,
That's right.
We will make sure to let them know to go park in the garage.
And honestly, being deadly serious, if there is an opportunity and a need for parking, we do have permit availability that would be a permit space that you could have as a hang tag where you wouldn't have to pay every day.
Oh, that's actually good to know.
How do I get one of those?
Contact the parking division.
But
Right.
can I ask you, Tim? I mean, that I appreciate their concession. They're obviously trying to work, with their neighbors. But is that? I mean, how would you even enforce that?
If you were to put a no parking restriction for the residents, users of the site, it would be
obvious.
It would be something that we would be able to tell if we would.
You-
It would be,
we enforce any condition of approval.
Yeah.
generally speaking, the city's enforcement process is on a complaint basis. If we receive complaints, we investigate, and then that would be the process we use.
Right, and that's the thing, if there is a vehicle that's out there, like this gentleman said, longer than 48 hours, by all means, ticket it and tow it. It's not supposed to be there. And we do hold to that as far as not having a bunch of vehicles out there. We do try to follow that as much as possible.
This being the residential downtown district, we expect on-street parking for a majority of the uses that take place within it.
And, when there is maintenance done to the property, which does happen quite a bit, we do park on the street for that sole purpose.
Of course.
The police, like the gentleman had said, the police presence showing up, that was something that I was not aware of, that I will definitely look further into, because if it took place, I need to know, so it can be rectified.
I
Couldn't
corrected
find
him when we
anything in
sat
just
down.
the public record that there was
So
something.
the police presence that I think that, I can name probably 3 different times in the past, I would say, year, that the only reason why the police were called is because I had staff call an ambulance.
Right.
That's probably why the police were there, is not because there was like crime happening. It was because we called an ambulance for a client that was living there because of a psychiatric emergency. It was a sole psychiatric emergency that they had to be taken to the hospital. It wasn't because of anything other than that. I can name probably
It's
3
not
different
gonna be
times in the
perfect.
last
I mean,
year.
Twice a year,
Yeah.
It's not
I
excessive.
mean, you should know.
It's not something I
you
would
should
have
know,
told
but twice
Kurt
a year, I don't think
about,
is
but
extreme.
yeah,
Thank you very much.
yeah.
Well, that would declare the public testimony portion of the hearing closed. We have a request for a special exception for a rooming house on the corner of South and, what was the other street? Concord Streets. We heard testimony that it will be housing for people who are in recovery post institutionalization, in some cases recovery, and they will stay there as long as they need to. I'm going to start this one with Ms. Rice. How do you see it?
I think that I would recommend granting the special exception. I think with the caveat about the parking being a condition of it. I think that it's, although it's been non-conforming, it has been a boarding house for quite some time. It doesn't sound to me that what they're proposing would significantly change or alter how it's impacting the neighborhood, and I think it's an appropriate use.
Ms. Spector-Morgan.
I agree. If I'm understanding the facts correctly, it's actually a protected non-conforming use that the city wouldn't take any action against, but it's the state that's requiring to get the special exception. I think the special exception criteria are met, particularly with the offer to not have residents have their own vehicles. I don't think police presence 2 or 3 times a year is an excessive demand. And we heard testimony that it's been in the neighborhood for at least 7, 10, 20 years, so I don't see how it changes the character of the neighborhood. I just don't see it as a change of use.
Thank you. Mr. Winters.
Yes, I agree, and I think that it sounds like they're roughly going to be continuing the use that's been happening with, formalizing it, which I think is a benefit to them and the community, because it's going to, allow some of this inspection to be more regulated. It might give them some more funding opportunities, having an official license. I do think that and I appreciate the neighbors. I think they, have a very open mind about the situation, and they're not, I don't think they're being unreasonable. I think that they want to make sure it's done correctly, but I think ultimately the parking was probably their most legitimate complaint. So I agree with the concession that was made, that if the residents don't have a car, that's essentially going to mean the use of cars is going to be comparable to like maybe a 2-unit building, which is reasonable. So I agree with my colleagues.
Mr. Waller?
I do too. I think it meets all the criteria of the special exceptions.
I do as well. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I will. I move to grant the special exception for a rooming house on 38 South Street because all of the criteria under section 28-9-3B of the Concord Zoning Ordinance have been met based on the record before us, and to adopt the applicant's proposed findings as the board's findings of fact, with the condition that residents shall not be permitted to have cars located at the property.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to grant the special exception with the applied condition, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. The special exception is granted. That brings us to case 4.3. This is a case that we actually recessed from the April 1st and May 6th meetings. I think we heard it on the May 6th meeting, and it got through public testimony, which we closed. This is case 4.3, Meredith Goldstein Esquire for William Young Properties LLC, requesting a variance for duplex or two-family to allow a duplex to be built on a lot with less than the required standards of 1.5 times of lot frontage or 91.5 feet of frontage where 112.5 feet is required, and 1.5 times lot size of 10,018 where 11,250 square feet is required. And this would all be located at an unnumbered vacant lot on Spruce Street in the downtown residential district. This is map Z443, or 7443, excuse me, -Z, lot 88. So before we go any further, the board has received communications from a couple of different parties on the subject of this application, which I anyway would consider to be additional public testimony. So my question is to the board, do you want to reopen public testimony, or do you feel that we have heard enough of the testimony surrounding this case that we can move forward? Normally we don't reopen public testimony for a number of reasons, not least of which is that people who were at the last meeting had reason to assume that it would not be reopened when they left. Because
I personally don't feel any need to receive any more evidence or testimony. We did receive further communication, which I've read, and I'm prepared to consider that because it was submitted, and I already have seen it.
Because she was here.
So I don't want to, prejudice anybody who may have come hoping to speak verbally who didn't submit something in writing. But putting that aside, I don't see the need to hear any more testimony.
you don't think you can unsee it?
You'll need to unsee it.
You kind of have to unsee
Have
it,
to
I think.
unsee it.
Chris,
You never saw that.
just for clarification, this one might need to go to Ann as well, because I was not here last month.
And was here for this, so.
That probably makes
Ann
sense.
was here
Okay,
for
yeah,
that.
we should say that, yeah.
Yes.
And I was not here either, so I'm going to recuse myself. So you're looking at a board of 4 members.
Okay. All right. I need to get a little bobblehead here that says every time that we have a new
We'll
hearing
help
that I
you.
have to appoint someone as the,
Just to chime in
Active alternate.
from the staff perspective, in the memo that I submitted to you, as you know, the reason this was continued to this date following the closure of the public hearing was to allow the city council to have their public hearing about the proposed zoning amendment. At the city council meeting on the 11th of May, they deferred taking action on this particular part of the zoning ordinance amendment, so the requirements do remain where the 1.5 times frontage and 1.5 time lot area are required. So the variance is valid and necessary in order for a duplex to take
I mean,
place.
the requirement for a variance.
The requirement for the variance remains.
Okay.
So but they are voting on something upcoming, we just don't have
They
not done
referred they took no action on the duplex frontage and lot size part of the amendments. They adopted everything else essentially.
course.
But with this, they did not, based on the several, the lengthy public testimony that took place both here and at the council meeting those evenings.
Okay.
Right.
Very good. So that's where we stand. So first, I think we have a consensus that we do not reopen the hearing, correct?
Let me add, I mean, I can't quote unsee it, but I don't think anything I saw was new, to be honest. So I'm comfortable, moving forward with everything that we have.
Very good. So it is the consensus of the board that we will not reopen
Yes.
public testimony?
Yes.
All right. I don't think we need to vote on that because we closed it. So
Correct.
that's a done deal. So the question is deliberations. And so we have a 4-member board now with Ms. Rice, Mr. Winters, me.
You
And
can
Mr.
ask the
Wallner.
applicant if they want to defer, because you only have a 4-member board, because they will need 3 of the 4 to vote in favor for any motion to.
Fair enough. Is the applicant here?
Well,
That's a procedural
no,
question.
you're absolutely right, but I mean,
Ms. Goldstein, would you like the case to be heard by more than a 4-member board, or is a 4-member board sufficient?
I guess my question would be, would we be eligible for a full board?
Not tonight, because the other member who was present at the meeting last month is not available this evening, so it would be a July if we wanted to defer at this point.
July. But there was another member that was
There
present.
was the other regular member, Mr. Monahan, who was here that evening, yes.
We're comfortable being heard by 4.
All right.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. That resolves that issue. So let's talk it over. I'm going to start with Mr. Wallner. How do you see this one?
I think because of the unusual characteristics of the neighborhood, that all lots are substandard, that I'm persuaded that the frontage argument, I would support the frontage argument. And I'd like to see what else my colleagues would say about this. Yeah.
All right. Mr. Winters, how do you see it?
well, I think the question that really the key question presented, which Ms. Shank, had really nailed down for us, and was is the variance. The variance is for whether they can put a duplex in at all.
Correct.
As part of that consideration, do we also, or should we also consider the architectural design standards of the structure? And we're being encouraged to do so, and I certainly understand the neighbor's position, which is that this particular structure, although no particular design, I don't think, has been presented to us by the applicant, that their concern, which is probably highly valid, is that they don't believe, based on the history of the developer, that what will be built is going to be consistent with their neighborhood, and they feel that zoning has the prerogative and that we should take the architectural design into account. I'll say, as whether, as a legal principle that's true or not, I mean, ultimately isn't going to be for me to decide, but historically, the more common example of what we've seen are situations where somebody has an odd size, perhaps a lot that is no longer a buildable lot under the current standards, but is otherwise a stray lot that doesn't really exactly meet the requirements, and they want to build a house there. Historically, we have not asked to see the design of the particular house. And there may be a gap in code where there should be somebody to review the actual, shingles or, slope of the roof or whatever, is important to the community as far as the architecture, and maybe that slips through the cracks, but historically we haven't seen that as our bailiwick to be looking at design standards. So from my perspective, we're just faced with, can they build a duplex at all? And frankly, most of the neighbors not all of them, I don't want to put words in all their mouth, but at least several of them said, we're not opposed to a duplex, we just don't like this particular duplex. And unfortunately, I agree with the part that a duplex is appropriate here, that the actual relief requested is extremely modest. You know, they're very close on both the frontage and the lot area requirements, and they're not asking for any I mean, they're going to be within the setbacks. They meet every other zoning requirement, so I'd be hard pressed to say they can't put this duplex there, given the overall character of this neighborhood.
Ms. Rice, how do you see it?
That was very thorough, so I don't need to repeat all of that. But I do find that I don't think that the design of the proposed building is something that is ours to consider. And given that there are duplexes, lots of duplexes in this neighborhood in much smaller lots, I think that it's appropriate to grant the variance.
I have a slightly different take on it, which is we have the unusual situation here of the city council actively considering abolishing the requirement for this variance. In a public hearing, they took official action to do nothing. And the reason they did so was because they had reservations about, as I understand it, about the proposed change that was being put before them as a result, partly of the testimony they'd heard from the neighbors and doubtless for other reasons. One of the things in my mind that a variance is intended to do is to correct a situation where the code is being applied in a way that the city fathers and mothers, when they created the ordinance, did not really intend for it to be. In other words, there's a hardship. They didn't mean to create a hardship for somebody. It happened because of an accident or circumstances, and it's our job to decide that it did or didn't happen. And if so, to give them relief from the requirement. Here, I don't hear the hardship argument, and I hear the council saying we're not done with this issue. And so, from a point of view of being a member of the zoning board, I'm not sure I'm comfortable granting a variance to a requirement in the code that's under active reconsideration, even related to this specific case. So I would be inclined not to grant the variance under these circumstances. One, I don't see the hardship. And two, I see a policy issue that makes me uncomfortable. That it should be the city council that ultimately makes this decision about whether this rule ought to be applied or not. Personally, I have my own feelings about it. I testified at that same hearing about them, but that's not the board's feelings, that's mine. So that's how I see it. I realize I probably exceeded my 5 minutes here. So anyhow, would anyone care to make a motion either way?
I would move. I don't have the language in front of me. Wait just a minute.
Can you call it up?
I can get it up here a second. Yep.
Oh, you got it right there? Thank you.
That's what she prints everything.
I move to grant the variance from section 28-5-2 to allow a duplex to be built on a lot with less than the required standards of 1 1/2 times the lot frontage for 91.5 feet of frontage, where 112.5 feet is required, and 1 1/2 times lot size of 10,018, where 11,250 square feet is required, because all of the criteria under RSA 674-33 have been met based on the record before us, and I move to adopt the applicant's proposed findings of facts as the board's findings of facts.
Is there a second?
I second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion to grant the variance, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The vote is 3-1, I believe. With the chair in the minority, the variance is granted. That brings us to case 4.4, Jeffrey Lewis, P.E. of North Point Engineering, LLC, for ZV Investments, LLC, and they are requesting variances to allow an existing lot to have 27,333 square feet, where 25,000 square feet are required for a multifamily dwelling, to allow the existing parent parcel to remain in its current condition without any painted striping or demarcate the existing parking spaces, to allow the existing parent parcel to remain in its current condition without any designated accessible parking spaces, to allow the existing southerly driveway to remain in its current condition with a minimum width of 9.3 feet, to allow the existing parking spaces to remain within the front yard setback, to allow the existing parking spaces to be allowed to continue to back out onto Thomas Street. All of this having to do with a request to allow to subdivide a lot that has a building on it into a lot that would still have a building on it and an adjacent lot that would not. Mr. Lewis, are you present? Please come forward.
Mr. Chairman, who is your voting alternate in this case?
My voting alternate is Ms. Perkins.
Thank you.
He got me.
We'll get a sign.
Yeah.
What is my problem with this? I don't understand.
It'd be easier if you have something I can just run through here, but yeah. I didn't get that set up, so yeah.
Mr. Lewis, do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but?
I do.
Would you identify yourself for the record as you testify, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jeff Lewis. I'm from North Point Engineering. For the record, I'm also a resident of Concord and member of the Conservation Commission here in the city, although I am not here in that capacity tonight. I'm here in my professional capacity as the agent and applicant for the property owner I was proposing this subdivision. Some of you may recall, I think 4 of you familiar faces were on the zoning board about 4 years ago when we were here with this project. It's located at the corner of Hazen Drive and Hazen Drive, Loudon Road, and Thomas Street, right there in the corner. It's about 3/4 of an acre. It's an existing 3-family house, 3-family structure with a large detached garage right up on the frontage there. And at the time, 4 years ago, Mr. Martin, who's the property owner, was proposing an expansion of the existing building, as well as tearing down the garage and building a new garage with a couple units above it. So the site was going to be expanded from 3 units to 9 units. We needed a handful of variances at the time, 5 of them, in fact. They were all granted by the zoning board. Then we received conditional approval from the planning board. That condition approval is set to expire this month. Mr. Martin has been patiently waiting for the costs to come into perspective for this so that he could move forward with the project, and it's just not happening. The site improvements associated with the site plan were more exorbitant than he was hoping for. Certainly the past couple years have not helped that endeavor. So he's basically going to let the approvals lapse and resort to his Plan B option here, which was to maintain the existing 3-family in its current condition. But there is room at the north end of the property to subdivide off a single-family lot, which would seem to be reasonable. It's a lot that fully complies with the zoning regulations, so we're not looking for any relief from that lot. The existing garage would be torn down, which would be an improvement. It does encroach across the neighbor's property line to the north slightly. It's well within the setback of the road. There's a 50+ foot wide driveway that serves that garage, so that will all be removed. A lot of nonconformities will be removed from the site. And then it will create one new single-family lot, which will be fully compliant with the zoning ordinance. So you ask why we're here tonight. We submitted 10 variance requests associated with this application, all of them associated with the existing multifamily. As you may imagine, a multifamily building that dates back to the 1800s, I believe 1870 is what the tax card says on this for the original structure. Obviously, way before the zoning ordinance existed. You'd find a number of existing nonconformities on that site. So we had identified, I think, 9 or so existing nonconformities. And in April, we were informed by the city staff that the act of subdividing this lot would cause that existing multifamily to lose all of its nonconformity. We pushed back on that a little bit. I'm not an attorney. I don't have a legal opinion. I still don't quite understand that. I'd be interested to see how the board takes.
That's being fixed it will be written in front of the planning board in a couple weeks.
So in a future meeting, perhaps later this summer, some of those variances would go away. Already, it appears this month or last month at the city council meeting, some of the recent amendments took care of a number of these variances that we had requested when we filed this application, which was before that meeting. So our variance count has been reduced from 10 to 6. So we're here for 6 variances before the board tonight. Almost all of them are just basically formalizing existing nonconformities on the site. What I can point out is in terms of improvements that we're doing, up at the very top of that image right there, there's some pavement, there's existing parking. Will go across the new property line. We are removing that pavement, so they will be 5 feet away from the proposed property line and comply with the zoning ordinance, which will keep all the pavement on the property that the multifamily is on. It is a little bit unusual with the parking out there. There's 2 driveway entrances and that looped driveway connection. If you go back to the aerial photo or scroll down to the aerial photo, you can kind of see how they park there today. There's plenty of parking out there. Let's see. Yeah, so they have some head-in parking there. They have that driveway to the south. They usually park a couple vehicles down there. There's a unit on that south end that has this entrance. So those couple people park right there and either pull through or back out onto Thomas Street. They're only required to have 3 parking spaces now, 1 space per unit, as I'm sure you're aware of, even though they'll likely have more than that. There's a couple existing, I think those are 2023 Google Street Views that just show the existing condition. So the garage will be taken down. Basically, the site will remain the same aside from that. So the variances that we are requesting are identified. I have crossed out 4 of them here. I'll go through them in the order that I have them, which is, one of them pertains to the minimum tract requirements. Interestingly enough, the zoning ordinance talks about a multifamily building or a project proposed for development, if it's a multifamily, needs to have a minimum tract size of 25,000 square feet. The subdivided lot that will maintain the multifamily building is under that, is 22,733 square feet. This is not a proposed development. There are no proposed changes to that. There's no proposed increase in units or parking or intensity. So it's not clear to me exactly how that provision of the ordinance applies, since it specifically talks about proposed development or proposed multifamily. This is an existing multifamily. Nevertheless, we are asking for a variance to allow that lot to be created at less than 25,000 square feet. I would point out that the density requirement in the RH district, which we are in, would support more than 6 units on that 22,000 square feet, and there's only 3 units existing. So we are asking for variance for that. That's the first variance up there. The second one we have is for demarcation. It's really set up as an existing residential drive out there. There's no painted parking spaces. We feel that it works as it appropriately right now. There's no need to identify parking spaces out there. We have room to easily fit 5 cars on there in a manner that they park now. So we're just asking for a variance to not have to identify and mark where the parking needs to be located on there, to give the existing residents the current flexibility that they have out there without identifying parking spaces, which is an existing nonconformity. Similarly, there's a requirement for multifamily to have handicap accessible parking spaces. There's no handicap accessible parking or units in this building. There's no existing handicap accessible parking spaces out there, so we would like to formalize that existing nonconformity with variance. Minimum driveway width. The driveways that are out there are substandard. There's a requirement that a one-way drive be 15 feet wide. We have an existing drive where those 2 spaces are parked that We measure at 9.3 feet at its narrowest point. So we are requesting a variance to formalize that nonconformity. No changes proposed, just to formalize what's there. Parking restrictions in the front yard is the next one. Parking spaces associated with multifamily uses are not allowed to be located within the front yard. Within the front yard setbacks, we do have a portion of the number 5, which is way at the bottom, which, if you look at the arrow, that's where they park now. They're parking out there near the driveway. They're obviously not going to pull in much further than that. That's a little bit misleading because that's showing the property line, not the setback, but that car is parked within the setback. So we're asking for a variance to formalize that request. And then we have another one backing into the street. You're not allowed to do unless it's associated with a 1 or 2 family house, and we have a 3-family, and that car clearly would be backing out into the street as it does today, every day probably. So we'd like to formalize that with a variance. So those are the 6 variances that we're seeking today. I'm happy to go through the criteria if you want, or take any questions first.
Questions from the board? Yes. The
tract size variance.
Yep.
Is that necessary because the new lot that you're creating is barely minimally complying?
The new lot we're creating is barely minimal. That is the minimum lot size for the new lot, correct? Yeah.
But it would be compliant.
The new lot is
The
compliant.
new single-family lot will be compliant, yes.
Yeah, we could make right. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I just had a question on the parking. So, the handicap accessible spaces, if you only are required to have 3, but you have 5, doesn't that technically meet?
There are no handicap accessible spaces on the property. There are 5 parking spaces, general parking spaces.
Right.
None of them are handicap accessible. By the ordinance, you need to have 1.
Right, that's like 14, like it has to be a wider space.
Correct.
But if he has 5 and he's only required to have 3, those 2.
None of them are going to be designated as handicap accessible.
Okay.
Right.
To me, it looks like you have enough room for it. It just
Yeah,
isn't designated.
You do.
You're absolutely right. We could put a handicap sign up there, and they're flat. Yeah, it would require us to stripe it and put a sign up there, and then it'll be but there's no handicap accessible units, so it doesn't make any sense to do that.
But, I mean, a handicap accessible, someone could be handicapped for purposes of driving, not handicapped for purposes of needing an accessible unit, right? If people are people have handicap.
I suppose, I can tell you.
I'm not having an issue with it, not having the signage, because it's a residential neighborhood, so I think it's better not to have it designated. It just feels like it's unnecessary, because the amount of parking space that's available is enough to fit the requirement.
If it weren't for the requirement to actually sign it and paint it out, I don't think Jeff would be here asking for it. But it is required to sign it and paint it.
So you wouldn't have to do any construction changes. You would just have to the physical space. It would just require you to stripe it and just put a sign up, and that way you would lose a spot basically.
Correct.
Right.
Well, yes, that's correct. We would lose one spot. We'd have 4 parking spaces instead of 5. And we'd have to put a sign up and striping. That's correct. Yep.
Other questions from the board? Would you like to? You all set, or do you have?
No, I'm all set. Are you all set with me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry, I have one more quick question for Paul. So 4 years ago, did we essentially grant a more expansive version of this?
There were several of the variances that we had requested that we don't need anymore because the city council just took action. There were buffers.
Yeah, right.
There was backing out. You did grant the variance for backing out on the street associated with that one. You did grant a variance associated with parking in the front yard. You did grant a variance associated with separation from the parking lot to the building, which we had requested. That just got changed by so there were, yes.
Conditional use permit with the planning board now instead.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Is there anyone who would like to be heard in favor of this appeal? Is there anyone who'd like to be heard in opposition? Any comments from planning?
As Mr. Lewis noted, there are several of the variances that were requested that were deemed no longer applicable because of the zoning ordinance changes the council adopted on May 11th. In the reason for these 6 that are here, the current interpretation by the city solicitor and shared by every municipal attorney that I've worked with over 30 years is that when you change a lot that contains a non-conforming structure or use, the lot no longer is the same as it was when it was granted such non-conforming status, and therefore loses those protections. Right now, that requires you to get variances. I am in the midst of, and I'm probably 45 to 50% complete writing an amendment to the zoning ordinance that would allow structures affected by subdivision that are non-conforming from a setback standpoint to be allowed to be subdivided without the need for variance. And that there would also be some changes that would allow conditional use permits of the planning board for a lot of these dimensional requirements and other items that currently require variances.
Thank you.
Good luck with that.
With that, we'll declare the public testimony portion of the hearing closed, and I will invite the board to discuss the case, beginning with Ms. Perkins.
I don't have an issue with approving this one. I think ultimately it's not gonna, the other lot's gonna be in full compliance, so that's not in front of us, and this lot is, it's minimal to me, the difference of the compliance.
The one other thing I would note, and thank you for saying that, essentially you're allowing what's there to stay.
Right.
With the new compliant
No
single-family
change in
lot.
appearance, no,
The one thing that becomes a significant improvement out here is the garage that currently is an encroachment onto an adjacent property that the applicant does not own.
And the front setback.
And the 50-plus foot wide curb cut, which is a significant safety concern because of that type of open curb cut, will be eliminated as part of this project.
And I think that even though the application didn't specify a hardship, but the hardship is to not allow it to continue to exist the way it's been existing for, many years.
Very good. Ms. Spector-Morgan.
I don't have an issue with many of them. I do have an issue with the minimum tract requirement because I don't see the hardship. You don't have to subdivide this lot to create the new lot. It's perfectly compliant the way it is. So I would be in favor of granting all of them except that one.
Without which?
They can't do anything else. Yeah.
Mr. Winters.
I think that it's a reasonable use to try to squeeze one more lot. I mean, they couldn't pencil, as I've heard them say, the denser units, which the community would appreciate having, but it just can't work economically. But I think that this lot, it's obviously, in my view, the hardship is the pre-existing use, and I think the additional, the lot size, the minimum tract requirement is not that, it's not that large of a variance, so I think it's reasonable to put another another unit on here.
Mr. Weller.
Pretty much the same. I'm okay with the reduction in minimum lot size requirements. All the parking issues in terms of demarcation and so forth, I'm fine with keeping it as is. In terms of backing out to 5 Thomas Street, that's a dead-end street, the last house at the end, so I think that's a non-issue.
Very good.
Yeah, just for planning board didn't have an issue with it when it was a denser proposal to allow that to continue either. So.
Very good. I'm inclined to agree with my colleagues who do see a hardship. I think the lot and the configuration and location of it are quite peculiar, and that it's entirely consistent with the intent of the zoning ordinance to allow another compliant lot to be on this property, and does no damage to allow the other to be non-compliant in the respects that they have requested. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I'll go ahead and do the first one. Okay, so.
Oh, sorry. Can she read them all and we vote one time, or do we have to read and vote every
I would
one?
prefer, given that you're probably going to get a split vote at least on one of them,
Oh, right.
to have separate motions.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking at least the first one would be separate from the other.
Right.
I would note that if you want to save time, you can read that you would move approval per the recommended motion written in the staff memo.
Really?
Oh, you need to come back.
Oh, can you come every
Now
time?
you tell me.
Let me write this down.
After I had to read the first one, yeah, wait.
I am perfectly okay with that because the memo was available to the public. It's
Great.
Okay.
Okay, so say that again.
that if you're looking at for case 0408-226, we would move approval per the staff suggested motion for approval contained in the staff memo.
It's the legal version of what he said.
Yeah. Okay. All right, case 0408-2026, I move to grant the variance from section 28-4-5 per the staff suggested
Motion to grant.
motion to grant.
Okay.
That was way better.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
The vote is 4-1 with Ms. Spector Morgan in the minority. The variance is granted. Okay, let's go to 442.
Okay, case now it's this brief, I'll do them all, I don't care.
0414 is the next one.
Yep. Case 0414, I move to grant the variance from section 28-7-1 per the staff suggested motion to grant.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. The variance is granted.
All right.
415.
Case 0415, I move to grant the variance from section 28-7-5 per the staff suggested motion to grant.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Case 0416, I move to grant the variance from section 28-7-7 per the staff suggested motion to grant.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Case 0417, I move to grant the variance from section 28-7-7G1 per the staff suggested motion to grant.
Second.
Any discussion?
Moving that along.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Okay, case 0418, I move to grant the variance from section 28-7-8A per the staff suggested motion to grant.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. The variance is granted. That brings us to a new case this evening, and I believe Ms. Rice, if you are willing.
Yes.
There you go. We'd love to have you join us on this. 4.5 Spring Corner Condominiums and Nona's Place, LLC, request a variance to allow a structure, in this case a pergola, with a 0-foot front setback where 15 feet are required at 60 Pleasant Street in the Civic Performance CVP District. Mr. Hitcher, would you swear to tell the truth and nothing but it?
I will.
Would you identify yourself for the record, please?
Yes, Remy Ngia.
If Remy would indulge me, I do want to update the board that since the staff memo was written where I had recommendations for punting, there is information that was available to the Architectural Design Review Committee, which I have available for you to look at, that does have a plan view showing where the will be set.
The stuff that I saw, there were elevations and plans.
Elevations, yes. I did not have this plan view, which I now have up on the screen.
Oh, I thought I did see that.
It was in the materials
Was it?
online.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Then
it was.
Okay. Then it was missed.
So there.
There you go. So the staff would recommend you make a decision on this tonight because we do have sufficient information.
Very good. Mr. Hitcher, would you like to fill us in on why you believe we should grant this variance?
Yes, so Nona's Place, or Remy's Place, when was opened originally January 8, 2000, has been there on this location for 26 years. And as being proud owner of this business, I like to enhance the property, especially since I own the properties both on each side and this. And as some of you has been to my establishment and see it, when you are outside at the lights, you barely can see my location, even though we have a flag and we have a sign being 9 feet away more in from my other tenant, the Asians. Like, people drive by trying to see us and they call and says, where are you guys? And during the years I've seen more this difficulty, and 5 years or 4 years ago we were allowed to have the rooftop deck and have I'm trying honestly to mimic the top portion of the deck and enhance the property, so when people drive they can see a beautiful building, get kind of try to cover those, forgive my language, those ugly bricks that are there on the front now. We already utilize the area that is there for people, handicapped people that cannot go on a rooftop deck during the summertime, but this will create like a little garden. Like my mom used to have flowers before, so, but because we made it flat, that's why we're preparing, we have shown on a design that will be other flowers, and the sign of Nona's will be on the third column by the entrance, so when people drive by, they really can see where it is instead of saying, where are you guys who've been driving around and cannot find you? So it does have create, I mean, if I wasn't successful, I won't be there for 26 years, so I won't be saying to you that, but it always can be better and there's room for improvements, you know, and the fact that we used to have a very strong lunch during that time, but federal courthouse during the daytime is not working as it used to work before, like a lot of people working from home. Only when they have trials and we see it. So evening business is majority of our business right now, so that's what we like to add this pergola or loggia, whatever my architect Tom Wilson has called it. I strongly believe that you'll do nothing but improve the property and improve the street. Other businesses that are there, including my tenant, the Asian Kitchen, it's right there. They have zero setback. Where barbershop was there before, Reggie, that no longer is with us. Literally zero setback. Farther away, when we go at the beginning of Pleasant Street, you know, where our other businesses, they have a minimum, let's say 5 or 6 feet setback. None of them has 15. So it will go with the area that is there. But I strongly believe that this will be a very good improvement for the property and for the street, being to the location that we are across from the federal courthouse. It will make look really an Italian restaurant, you know, with the look and appearance that has, you know. So that's my belief.
Questions from the board? Anyone?
Are you thinking that there will be people eating in the area where the pergola is?
They already eat now, but people with disability, handicap accessible, or elder people that cannot go inside or cannot go on rooftop deck, we already sit there. But by creating this, you'll make me get rid of putting those black cord and the umbrella and so forth, like putting in and taking them out every night, like restaurants do it, for example, Barley House or other Beijing and Tokyo and other businesses that are there. This will be more structural, and they will have 6 columns coming up, and then we'll have those rafters coming. Same like I have the rafters. If you guys can put the picture back, I'll show you. So same as if I can go there, please. So same as we have these rafters here on the top, we'll be having this, so kind of mimic up and down. And bring in more too. But we already we've been utilizing that for 40 years for elderly people that cannot come in. Our servers come and help them outside. We put tables there all the time. Now this will be more upscale, you know.
So it's going to be up year round?
No. Just let's say May till October or November. No year round. You'll not be covered. You'll not be a roof or anything like this. The rafters will be open. So it's just during the
I see.
The structure will be there.
Yeah, structure will be permanent.
The
correct.
seating is not year-round.
Yeah,
Right, but the structure is permanent, right?
Correct.
So how is, I'm trying to envision, I mean, I kind of see the rendering here, but how much, I mean, the sidewalk's not going to be obstructed.
No, absolutely not.
How much space do you have before you're?
Well, I'll build them within my property. So like the sidewalk will not be touched. I'll be building the columns and the thing within my property.
So you'll be flush with the restaurant next to you? Is it going to be?
No, it's out a little further.
Right now it's a little. So right now
Right now my restaurant is 8 feet inside. So the Asian restaurant, which are my tenants, they are in front of me like 7 or 8 feet. So literally by building those columns and putting the structure, we literally will be either a foot away from them or even with them.
Okay.
With a Google map so we can see the.
I'm I can get you, yeah.
I didn't realize you were set back from them by that
Like
much.
eight and a half feet, almost 9 feet, yes.
That's just the way it was built.
That's how it was.
Yeah.
Like if you can drive on Pleasant Street right now, if you're at the lights, you barely see no one. As you will see old barber shop, and you'll see the Asian kitchen. You'll not see my restaurant.
That's why I'm going here instead.
Is that barber shop, is it just vacant now?
Somebody else bought it. It wasn't me. I wanted to, but the son got upset that Reggie died and I couldn't buy it on time, so he sold it to somebody
Do
else.
you know what they're gonna do with it, or? It's just
Hasn't done
vacant?
anything yet.
Sorry.
Standpoint, Andrew, standpoint.
You looking for a case for later?
No, I'm just curious.
You see it?
Yeah.
I
When I first looked at that plan, I didn't spot, I thought the sidewalk was somehow
Yeah, I did.
engaged
Yeah.
in this thing.
But
But
I-
The sidewalk will not be
Okay, so
touched,
it's-
and
okay.
architecture design review approved the building of pergola. A couple days ago, we went for the sign, they approved it that as well.
They recommended the approval to the planning board, yes.
Yeah, so that's why I'm here tonight.
Other questions?
And the columns would be on the,
In this area,
that
it's
same
where
area.
the,
Inside the property, yeah.
so basically, the front property line is roughly where this
Yeah.
portion is, so the columns will be right up against here, just off the sidewalk.
And that old sign, that right now we have the sign that we put letter that are going to be removed, that no longer will be there. One of the ADR members said that he hurt himself one time coming in, so we'll be getting.
We can't
rid
have
of
that, can we?
it. No, absolutely not.
Okay. Other questions from the board? Is there anything else you'd like us to know?
Approve it and I'll go home.
You brought food,
Start
it
building
would
next
help.
week.
Wait, are you threatening
Until you
to
go to the planning
board if we deny it?
Don't beat around the bush now.
Bring me there.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson.
Thank you so much. Thank you for hearing me.
Is there anyone who'd like to be heard in favor of this appeal? Is there anyone who'd like to be heard in opposition to it? Is there any comment from planning?
No, as it was mentioned, it was in front of the Architectural Design Review Committee on yesterday actually, and was recommended approval to the planning board, which will be meeting on the 17th.
Very
Are there
good.
any concerns about snow removal in the winter and the columns interfering with that?
No, I don't think there's any concern because it's off the actual sidewalk itself, and there's a small curb there that would still be the guide that General Services would use with their sidewalk pump.
Okay, thank you.
They can't just shove the snow up on his terrace anyway.
No, they shouldn't be.
No. Very good. With that, we'll declare the public testimony portion of the hearing closed, and I will invite the board to talk this one over. And I guess, why don't we start with Mr. Winters? He hasn't had a chance to go first in a while here.
Something about that barber shop.
Why don't we start with Mr. Winters, focusing on the case at hand?
Okay. I think we've seen some cases like this downtown there is no setback.
It's a zero setback.
It's a zero setback.
And the central business performance district, that's correct.
I feel like we've had some, this is obviously on the outskirts of downtown, it somewhat operates like an extension of it, especially by the courthouse, because there's a fair amount of foot traffic in there. I think it definitely fits with the area, because most of the structures are very close to setback, so it's not going to be staggering out significantly. Obviously, every lot there is fairly unique, so I think that the lot is long pre-existing the code, so I'd be inclined to support it.
Ms. Spector-Morgan?
I agree. I don't think it's going to alter the essential character of the neighborhood. If anything, I think it's going to enhance it. I don't see any particular gain to the public from denying the requested variance, particularly where it's an open pergola and the sidewalk remains unobstructed. It's not going to diminish surrounding property values. If anything, it will make them better. And I think the hardship is the size of the lot and the existing location of the building on the lot, and sort of the little jog between the two tenants. So I don't have any problem with this.
Mr. Wallner?
I agree. And also, I think we did something similar with Washington Street Cafe quite a while ago.
That's right,
We did
you're
the
right,
Same thing
yeah.
there.
Ms.
You
Rice?
set precedent with variances.
I would agree. I do think that this setback from his building and the Asian restaurant, I think that makes some sense to move it. And it's not gonna impact what's already there, where they have the seating. So I think that I would recommend granting it.
I agree with my colleagues. I think the configuration of the building relative to the street creates a hardship, and this is a remedy that is reasonable. Would anyone care to make a motion?
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any
Per
discussion?
staff, per the staff's motion?
No, I think I'll read the whole thing.
You need my notes?
I move to grant the variance from section 2841H, table of dimensional regulations, to allow a structure pergola to have a 0-foot front setback where 15 feet is required because all of the criteria under RSA 674-33 have been met based on the record before us, and I move to adopt the applicant's proposed findings as the board's finding of fact.
May we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. The variance is granted. That brings us now to 4.6, which is case 420-2026. R.E.B. Pollock Esquire of Gallagher, Callahan, and Gartrell Partners Limited, on behalf of Carrier Place LLC, who requests a variance to allow 167 spaces to serve a retail plaza where 192 spaces are otherwise required at 265 to 273 Loudon Road in the Gateway Performance District.
And I'm happy to sit in on this one.
Thank you.
Keep taking turns.
Gentlemen, do you swear to tell the truth? I do. Would you identify yourselves for the record as you testify, please?
Yes, Christian Poyant, owner of 265, 273 Loudon Road.
You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Matt Peterson with Keach Norsom Associates.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name's Ari Pollock. I'm with the Gallagher, Callahan, and Gartrell law firm here in Concord. I'm here this evening for Carrier Place LLC, and to my right, as he introduced himself, is Christian Poyant, one of the members of the LLC. The applicant seeks a variance to allow certain leasehold uses of an existing shopping plaza containing 167 parking spaces. The applicant leases multiple storefronts to a variety and mixture of tenants, all non-residential. The plaza currently has 9 tenants under lease with 2 additional leasable areas ready to be signed up for tenancy. With the exception of 4 spaces that are utilized by a singular tenant for takeout service, which is the Chipotle restaurant, all remaining of the 167 are open and unrestricted and shared by all of the tenants in the plaza. The application includes a ZBA exhibit, which might appear shortly.
Your exhibit? Of course you do.
Thank you, sir. That shows the existing parking areas, and if you really have great eyesight, a parking calculation table. Yeah, that's probably the easier one to go with. And the variance is sought from the table of off-street parking requirements to recognize that 167 of existing spaces adequately serves the plaza. Our calculation of, well, it just disappeared, but
It did.
I'll
get something better for you.
Okay. Well, I really wanted that table, but as you wish, sir.
But this will be better.
The 192 spaces was frankly measured conservatively, and we did a round up per leased area. So in other words, if a particular tenant like T-Mobile for their 2,700 square feet of space needed 10.2 spaces, we rounded up to 11 for the purposes of this table. I actually think that the ordinance would consider the property as a whole. If that were the case, we actually, the demand would be 189 spaces, but we wanted to be conservative so that you would see that we're not trying to take credit for tenths of spaces or portions of spaces per tenant, which is hard to do. Even at the conservative projection of 192 required spaces, the 167 existing spaces offers more than 85% of the parking required by ordinance. The application well, it disappeared again. But I assure you, the application includes a table of allocated parking amongst the tenants, and each is allocated a functional number of spaces, getting us to our requested variance of 167. As to the specifics of variance criteria, on hardship, I think I have made it overly clear that there's 167 existing spaces. There's really no area to, well, okay, just bear with me here. Take my word for the graphics. There's really no area where any appreciable additional spaces could be constructed. The existing parking spaces are sufficient to offer adequate parking for the mixture of customers and employees and visitors to the site. And parking is really what drives the ability to place the types of tenants that are interested in the property. Interestingly enough, the parking demand changes per use, not per size of space or by total leasable square footage. And a restaurant, for example, requires more than a retail, but a medical requires more than a retail. And so you end up backing into a scenario where the ordinance actually is controlling who you can lease to, as opposed to allowing the market to do it. And the hardship really is requiring an applicant to build more parking than is, one, able to be located physically on the property, and two, where you are unnecessarily or artificially altering what the market would demand for a mixture of tenants. I'll also make clear that the landlord has a direct incentive to manage this through their leasing efforts. Nothing is worse for a landlord than having sisters fighting, and tenants need to be able to get along, and that requires effective leasing language, and quite honestly why this plaza is designed on an open season or open parking plan, with the exception of those handful of I think they're called burrito loading spaces. If my daughter were here, she would give you chapter and verse on how much she loves Chipotle. The variance would allow a reasonable use. The variance allows permitted uses to be placed by lease agreement without an unnecessary constraint of the market for leasing opportunities. The public interest, I think, supports the ability to place tenants in an existing retail plaza, and to recognize that the significant opportunity for shared use parking allows the construction of fewer spaces than the ordinance might require in total. Again, it's on the landlord to make sure that the tenant mix is complementary to one another, and that they are not either stepping on each other from a competitive perspective or clogging the plaza from a parking and demand perspective, and that's exactly what Christian's group is doing. Spirit and intent of the ordinance and substantial justice. It's interesting that there's so much conversation in the various matters before the board tonight about zoning amendments that are in vogue and coming forward, and council's thinking about this, that, and the other thing. This kind of falls into that same heading of there is a lot of attention on the parking matrix. Someday this variance may not be necessary, but that isn't today. And so the applicants and landlords and owners have no choice but to come and explain their case for some relief, albeit a small deviation on a percentage basis. The value of surrounding properties, there's no evidence to suggest that the immediately surrounding properties would suffer any material devaluation as a result of recognizing the sharing of parking amongst tenants and different businesses. A successful plaza enhances those that are around them, and interestingly enough, there are at least a few of those properties that are in stages of redevelopment and reemergence themselves, of which I could tell you a lot but won't bore you. And so, you've heard it from me, and you'll hear it from others. So the short version of a longer story than I had hoped is, we're looking for relief on the parking loading table so that we can continue to manage our roster of tenants, giving everybody a fair share allocation and keeping the plaza vibrant and full. Right now, there are 2 vacancies out of the 11 available spaces, and we think with this relief, we can finish leasing it. Happy to take your questions.
So what prompted this was a change in tenants?
Yes, as tenants come and go, the needs of the parking loading requirements change per use.
Questions of the board?
I'm just curious, does Nothing Bundt Cakes count as a restaurant or retail?
They technically count as a restaurant, which is difficult because I was in there today getting a cake for my daughter to bring home, and there's nobody in there.
Yep.
You know,
But they're very successful, and we love them.
I have.
But they require.
They're all there on Saturday.
Yeah, no, and you're right, but they require 20 spots, and
Okay.
when you talk to them, you know, they probably need 5 or 6. So it's just.
They're a cash and carry, in and out,
Yeah.
place an order, pick it up. It's not a restaurant.
Yep.
They'll never.
Again, as Mr. Pollock mentioned, this is one of those areas that we've been working on for quite some time. I'm hopeful that I've got some suggestions to the deputy city manager to narrow down the focus for the interim that at least gets us to a relief valve that would be through the planning board and a conditional use permit process rather than the zoning board.
So do the spaces count what's in back?
Yes.
So is that mostly employees?
Correct.
Yeah, have the employees park in the back.
So then they come in through the back? I mean, or they walk, or is
yeah,
there a sidewalk
there's
to
doors
walk
in the
around?
back.
There's a sidewalk.
Yeah, there's doors in the back, but
Both.
yeah, patrons come in the front.
So your calculations kind of include an estimated amount for employees, because obviously
The
very
parking
few customers
requirement
come.
in the zoning ordinance contemplates employees plus.
The parking requirements consider a blend of staff and customers.
Other questions from the board? Anyone? Anything else you'd like us to know, gentlemen?
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here who wishes to be heard in favor of this appeal? Is there anyone here who wishes to be heard in opposition to it? Please come forward. Good evening, Mr. Schweiker. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but?
I do.
Would you identify yourself for the record as you testify, please?
My name is Roy Schweiker, and I'm not really opposed to this. I'm merely finding this is kind of an interesting situation. And, I mean, the way Mr. Pollock describes it, you know, they reserve the right to put any tenants in their plaza they want, so they could make it all restaurants, for instance, which would, you know, suddenly triple the parking requirement, but they should still be allowed to do it. And I don't think that's quite reasonable. I think that 85%, you know, may be too much. I don't know, but I think in whatever the city comes up with, there's got to be some rational basis. You know, maybe they've been having, you know, far too many parking spaces required for things. I mean, certainly residential are requiring far too few, but that's an entirely different story. And so I'm really here to say that, I mean, you can wave that matrix at us and say, we'll do it, and that's all the evidence you take to approve it. I think we should have something a little bit better. I mean, maybe the point is that if you sell cakes over the counter instead of sitting down and eating a cake, it takes less parking spaces. But, you know, that's something that should be, you know, done through the ordinance and not just, you know, I want to be able to put anybody I want in my plaza because it's existing. And I think technically there's not really a hardship here because you could just say, okay, he's not allowed to have a restaurant, but he could bring back another retail, and then he has enough parking spaces. So I think, you know, according to the law, there's no hardship because you're merely limiting the kind of tenants you can have, which is what the plaza was originally designed for. And I don't know if there's any shortage of retail people in Concord that might lease a space, so.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard? Any comments from planning?
Nothing additional.
With that, we'll close the public portion of the hearing, public testimony portion of the hearing, and move on to discussion. This is a request for some relief on parking, which was required by a change in the mix of tenants in an existing retail building. And why don't we start this with Ms. Perkins?
Love to do that to me. I honestly don't have an issue with reduction of parking. I think a lot of these businesses are busy at various times, and it will still allow for plenty of parking within the necessities. 20 spaces for a space people don't even sit down in is excessive, so I don't have an issue with it.
Ms. Spector-Morgan.
I agree with Ms. Perkins, and I would also note that there's nowhere else on the property to build more spaces, and so that is certainly a hardship. And also that it seems to me that the purpose of the parking requirements is not to drive or limit the type of tenants. It's to ensure that there's sufficient spaces, and if there's sufficient spaces, that's a basis for a variance.
Mr. Winters.
Yeah, I think in the past, one distinction we've looked at is what's around it that it might infringe on. You know, if it was in a shared space where their customers who can't park then are going to park on the street or park in someone else's lot, it's going to create an unfair burden on the neighbors. In this case, I mean, this is far enough away. I suppose someone could park at the I guess, I don't know, what is it, T-Bones or Aldi? But they can walk up, but that's...
Aldi, Raising Cane's, there's a service credit union coming next door.
You'd have to be pretty desperate for a cake to... I mean, walking through a parking lot. So I feel...
They are pretty good.
Yeah, no offense to cake makers,
Speak
but...
for yourself.
So I think to Mr. Schweiker's, his point's not frivolous. There is a slippery slope. I don't think we would allow 250 all restaurants in there. But at the same time, in this particular case, it's not really imposing a burden on anyone else.
Yeah.
Mr. Waller.
I agree. In fact, the ultimate rule is if they can't park, they won't come. And I think that governs business.
And they're not going to park on Loudon Road.
Yep.
No.
I agree with my colleagues. Would anyone care to make a motion?
Let me do this one?
Sure.
Okay. It's short, so I'm just going to read it. I move to grant the variance from Section 2872E to allow 167 spaces in a retail plaza where 192 are required because all the criteria under RSA 674-33 have been met based on the record before us. And I move to adopt the applicant's proposed findings as the board's findings of fact.
Is there a second?
Yes.
There is a second.
Sorry.
Oh,
Pay attention.
I believe Ms. Perkins seconded the amendment.
Yes.
The motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. The variance is granted. Ms. Rice, would you join us for the next one?
Yes.
Thank you. That will be 4.8. Jeffrey W. Lewis, P.E. of North Point Engineering will rejoin us for Granite Municipal Manufacturing and Sales, LLC, who are requesting a special exception to allow a caretaker apartment as an accessory use on tax map 40Z Lot 6 located at 52 Lock Road in the industrial IN district. Mr. Lewis, please rejoin us. You're still under oath. As long as you stay in this room, the oath is in effect.
You still remember that I'm a member of the Conservation Commission.
We do, and we commend you for that.
Doing God's work.
Okay, so this project is on Lock Road. I'm sure you're all familiar with where this is located, up off of exit 16, industrial zoned subdivision up there. This is one of the few remaining undeveloped parcels at the very end of the cul-de-sac. That's it right there. Yep, there we go. An overview plan. So it's an undeveloped parcel. It has been cleared, clear cut. The upland area, there's wetlands on both sides of it, as you can see right there in this view. North is to the left. There's a existing cell tower just to the north of the property on the adjacent city-owned property. It's pretty much surrounded by conservation property on the north and west sides. And then directly abuts the highway and the railroad on the east. There you go. So this is a project that we're advancing to the planning board for a site plan development. The component that we need help on from the zoning board relates to a special exception for a caretaker apartment. The proposed development is a combination of some flex industrial space, light industrial space, 4 separate buildings that you can see up there. They will be divided up into 4 units each. That's the first floor, and then they're actually 4-story buildings, so the second, third, and fourth floor will all be indoor climate-controlled self-storage. So that's the proposed function of the site. There is a little outbuilding on the west side that is that's the floor plan of it, which is a small office on the first floor, a maintenance garage, and then a caretaker security apartment on the second floor, which is not unusual to see with a self-storage use like this. So that is the component that we need a special exception for. It's a use permitted by special exception in the industrial zoning district. That's basically it. I'm happy to, again, go through the criteria if you want. I would note that there are some specific criteria for caretaker apartment in the special exception. There needs to be separate and distinct from the office space. It needs to be small in nature, smaller than the primary use on the site, which it obviously is. It needs to have a small private yard accessible to the tenant, which we do have there. I believe those are the 3 criteria. So we do meet those. Other than that, we think it's perfectly compatible use and won't take away from the neighborhood, which is entirely industrial and commercial uses out there.
Questions? Anyone? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Is there anyone who wishes to be heard in favor of this appeal? Is there anyone who wishes to be heard in opposition? Any comments from the planning department?
Not at this time, no.
With that, we'll discuss the case, close the public hearing, and I'm going to invite, who do I want to pick on first? Ms. Spector-Morgan.
Me, finally?
I've neglected you this evening.
You have.
I do.
There must not have been anything difficult.
I do apologize.
I don't have any problem with this.
This is your moment to shine.
This is my moment. All the special exception criteria are met. I don't have any issue with this.
All right. And Mr. Winters.
Yeah, I don't see how this would be, creating any burden on the city resources, which is what all those special exception criteria have in common. So it seems totally fine.
Ms. Rice.
I agree.
Mr. Waller.
The same.
I agree with my colleagues. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I can. When I find it. I move to grant the special exception from section 2824K to allow a caretaker apartment as an accessory use to a self-storage facility because all of the criteria under special exception in section 28-9-3B2 and section 28-5-35 have been met based on the record before us, and I move to adopt the applicant's proposed findings as the board's findings of fact.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. The special exception is granted. And that moves us to case 4.9. Ms. Perkins, would you join us on this one?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm so proud of myself. I remembered.
I'm so proud of you, too.
Me too.
4.9, Mara McKenzie of Colliers Engineering and Design, on behalf of Walmart Real Estate Business Trust, requests variances to allow the provision of 903 parking spaces where 991 are required, to allow non-conforming parking space dimensions of 18 feet in length where 19 feet is required, and to allow proposed parking stalls with a length of 18 feet where 19 feet is required. All of this is located at 344 Loudon Road in the Gateway Performance District. Is Ms. McKenzie here?
Justin Latier from Colliers.
Very good. You swear to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. Would you identify yourself for the record again, please?
Justin Latier with Colliers Engineering and Design on behalf of Walmart.
What would you like us to know?
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty straightforward. These are two existing non-conforming conditions on the site. The existing site now has 930 parking spots. We are going down to 903 to facilitate the proposed online pickup expansion. And again, staying consistent with the existing site, the spots right now are 18 feet in length. And obviously a significant lot refresh would be required to push those to 19 feet in length per code. I can go through.
Tell us about the hardship and so on.
Yeah, so basically in order to add, approximately 87 parking spaces and restripe the lot, there's just not enough space on site to accommodate that. And I think we can all agree nobody wants more parking at Walmart probably. I think we've got plenty of asphalt out there.
There's a whole section I always see empty.
Yes, very much so.
Is it ever full? Is it ever full?
No, and honestly, with the way Black Friday and Christmas go, shopping online, not really much anymore at all.
Yeah, very good. Does the online pickup and the increase of it tend to, you're getting more cars for the pickup and they have to wait, but does it reduce parking in total? People aren't going in the store and walking around?
In generally, what we find is it's more efficient. So as opposed to someone parking and shopping in the store for 30 minutes to an hour, they're in and out within the pickup in, 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the time of day.
Very good. Questions from the board?
Nope.
Anything? Is there anything else you'd like us to know?
That's all I got, unless you guys have anything.
I don't think so. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much.
Is there anyone who'd like to be heard in favor of this appeal? Is there anyone here who would like to be heard in opposition? Anything from planning?
Just to note that the length of parking spaces at the time this was proposed and developed initially was compliant. The spaces are different now in terms of the dimensional requirements, which is why the variance is for both the existing and the proposed to remain at that reduced length.
When did they change?
I'm not sure exactly when, but it's every space that's out there that I looked at in terms of the plan are all 18 feet, not 19.
Must be true all over the city.
There's probably a lot of it.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. With that, we'll declare the public testimony portion of the hearing closed, and I will invite discussion. Mr. Winters, you're up. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, technically that's the number that's required by the calculation, but I think as has been noted, there's too much parking out there, and adding more online pickup actually, even though it's technically fewer spaces, it's going to help the parking problem because people will be using the spots for less period of time. So it actually benefits the parking to do it this way. So I think that's to me that creates a hardship.
Mr. Waller.
Yeah, I think the hardship is that we're requiring more parking than they would ever need.
Ms. Spector-Morgan.
And I think it's a further hardship that there's no place to put all of that extra parking on the property, so I have no problem with this requested variance.
Very good. And Ms. Perkins.
Ditto to all that.
And I ditto her ditto. Would anyone care to make a motion?
I move to grant the variance from section 28-7-2 and section 28-7-nothing to allow the provision of 903 parking spaces where 991 are required, to allow non-conforming parking space dimensions of 18 feet in length where 19 feet is required to remain, and to allow proposed parking stalls with a length of 18 feet where 19 feet is required, because all of the criteria under RSA 674-33 have been met based on the record before us, and I move to adopt the applicant's proposed findings as the board's findings of fact.
Very good. Would anyone care to second that motion?
I will.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The vote is unanimous. The variance is granted. Was there more than one? There was more than one.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
7 more, actually, but one applicant.
There's one, yeah, one
Not,
more.
but no more
one
variances for this property.
No, not for Walmart, no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, one more case.
One more case.
7 more variances.
7 variances, 1 case.
Yeah. All right, the next case. Ms. Rice, will you join the
will.
team for this one?
You made it to the top of the list finally.
been last
You've
every
been last
month.
2 months in a row now, Phil. I
No,
mean,
did I take you off, Tim?
no, it's just, it's order received. Sorry.
I'll be more prompt next time.
Philip Hastings, Esquire of Cleveland Waters and Bass, PA, and on behalf of Dartmouth Hitchcock Clinic, requests variances from requests variance to continue to allow existing parking located within the required 30-foot front setback, to allow proposed parking located within the required 30-foot front setback, to allow lines to continue to allow parking located within 10 feet of the edge of the right-of-way. Setback from lot lines, excuse me. To continue to allow parking located within 10 feet from the edge of the right-of-way. To allow off-street parking to be located within 10 feet wide perimeter landscape buffer. To continue to allow non-conforming landscape open space within parking lot interior to have horizontal dimensions of less than 9 feet. To continue to allow non-conforming parking spaces to continue to be located more than 120 feet from landscaped open areas within the parking lot, and to continue to allow non-conforming conditions to exist with respect to the parking lot. All of this would be to permit an addition to an existing building at 253 Pleasant Street in the institutional district. Gentlemen, do you swear to tell the truth?
Do.
Would you identify yourselves for the record, please?
Thank you. My name is Philip Hastings. I'm an attorney with Cleveland Waters and Bass. I represent Dartmouth Hitchcock Clinic. This is for a property located at 253 Pleasant Street. With me tonight is Tim Bishop from Dartmouth Hitchcock, as well as Chris Nadeau from Nobis Engineering. Also, Dave Duncan is here from Dartmouth Hitchcock in the audience, as well as members of our architectural team. As you just heard, we're here for a series of interrelated variances associated with the parking for a proposed addition to the existing DHC building. Those conditions, several aspects of the existing parking lot are not in compliance with the current ordinance, but they are lawfully non-conforming because they predate the existing ordinance. And even though the parking lot design can continue to exist in its current condition, the ordinance provides that whenever a building is being enlarged, the existing parking design needs to come into compliance with the parking lot standards. So we're in a situation where everything is fine, but we're building a new addition to the building. So we need to look at how we comply with the existing ordinance. So the series of ordinance is the ones that are listed as 4.10.1, 4.10.3 through 4.10.6 all relate to keeping the existing parking as it now exists, notwithstanding the building addition. So that's parking within, and Chris will explain this, that's parking within 30 feet of a front setback. It's parking within 10 feet of the edge of a right-of-way. It's for parking within 10 feet of the perimeter landscape buffer. It's for open space within a parking lot. To have horizontal, the interior of a parking lot to have horizontal dimensions of less than 9 feet, and parking spaces to be greater than 120 feet from landscape open spaces in the parking lot interior, all of which are highly technical, and I hope City Council soon addresses these like they are addressing other issues, but we're stuck with what we're stuck with. Variance, the variance that's listed as 4.10.7 is essentially a catch-all related to the general provision of the ordinance. I suppose it's not technically necessary, but that's the way other projects have handled this in the past, so we thought we would just to add another one to the list. In addition to the variances for the existing parking lot, we're asking for a single variance. This is 4.10.2 on your list. With respect to new parking that's required in connection with the building addition, we're building more space, so we need more parking spaces to comply with the ordinance. So we're showing to the along Pleasant Street where the cursor is moving an additional 38 new parking spaces, approximately 38 spaces along Pleasant Street that are within the 30-foot front setback. They are complying with the 10-foot perimeter buffer and the 10-foot setback from a right-of-way, but they do fall within the 30-foot front yard setback.
What is the grade relative of the parking spaces relative to the street there?
It's low,
Yeah, it's quite a bit lower, actually.
Yeah, I think Chris is gonna talk about that.
All right, well, I apologize for that.
Okay.
That's certainly one of the unique features of this property is the grade. I'll ask Tim Bishop to talk about the purpose of the addition and the thought process behind where this is being located on the site. And then Chris can talk more specifically about the parking, and then I'll talk about the variance requirements.
Right. Good evening. So it's increased demand for outpatient care for the city of Concord and the surrounding communities is really the purpose of the project. It's been 36 years since we've done any type of major construction on this site, so given the property being 36 years old. We're looking to have expanded diagnostic imaging capabilities and a mobile imaging trailer added. Also, Dartmouth Cancer Center Hematology Oncology Services with the clinic. So that would be NCI Certified Comprehensive Cancer Care Center that we would have on site. There are only one of only 3 in New England. That would be us, and with 25% greater long-term survival rates for NCI facilities. We'd also have endoscopy services, procedural and recovery, and a clinic on site. So we've assessed the east, south, and west sides of the building. The north side is the main entrance, so we wanted to leave that as is. We felt the south side was the best option by far. Allows the best opportunity for site space. Grade pitches down away from the building, allowing for ease of patient access. Best linear surface from corner to corner, allowing new addition to connect. Best access to connect each floor through existing stair tower. Best opportunity for circulation space connecting existing main corridors to the new building. Along the east side, we felt it wouldn't work well because one, our shipping and receiving dock is there, so we need to keep that functioning. We had limited for a new building footprint on the east side. The site's too tight to support addition and access road around the building if we wanted to do that. It's challenging to connect to existing building, maximizing patient flow and synergy. Significant site work to bring grades down to support connecting the first floor. So Chris will talk a little bit more about grades and the challenges there. Unable to take advantage of existing grade to provide ground floor lobby, mechanical space, and a cafe, which we plan to build. And it's also closest to our abutters. You know, want to try and be as far away from our abutters as possible. On the west side, that didn't work well either, much like the east side. We had limited for a new building footprint there. Site too tight to support addition and access road around the building. Challenging to connect to existing building, maximizing patient flow and synergy. Significant site work to bring grades down to support connecting the first floor. And again, unable to take advantage of existing grade to provide the ground floor lobby, mechanical space, and the cafe. So throughout that assessment, we felt the south addition was appropriate.
How many parking spaces does the addition displace?
Well, that's a good question, and I don't know that I have the answer. You know, I'm guessing probably. Have that?
I don't know. It does displace some.
Yeah, if you go to that other plant, Tim. So that basically, the new addition is taking up a tiered parking lot there, where the yellow is, and then the MRI units, the new location for the MRI units basically wipes out that entire tier of parking there. So, you know, I'm gonna say 40 spaces or so.
But you're building an adequate number of spaces.
Yeah, so again, this is all about parking, right? Unlike Walmart, we need all the spaces we can get. There's already a parking crunch on site, so rather than asking for fewer parking spaces, we're asking for relief to add new spaces and not lose the spaces that we already have because they don't conform.
When you originally built it, was the parking compliant with all of the codes, or did you get variances?
Yes, it was, yes. Yeah.
And it will remain compliant in terms of number of spaces.
Yeah.
So with that, again, the existing parking, we're asking for both the 30-foot buffer relief and the 10-foot landscape buffer relief. If we didn't get that, we'd lose all the striped spaces in the front and all the ones on the side, and probably more because we'd lose part of the drive aisle along the west side. So, you know, as many as 80 spaces would be lost if we don't see relief. With the new parking, it makes sense that we continue with what was designed back in 1990 and put the parking along Pleasant Street. It does sit about 4 to 6 feet lower than Pleasant Street, so it will be buffered from anybody seeing cars on Pleasant Street.
Yeah.
But again, in the proposed parking, same thing. We need a relief from the 30-foot buffer along Pleasant Street, as well as the 10-foot landscape buffer. Well, I'm sorry, we don't need the relief from the 10-foot.
That's for the existing.
Buffer. We're meeting that requirement. So we actually have two pieces of property here. The main property is about 9.5 acres, and they also own this triangular piece over to the right, to the east. I don't know if everybody remembers, it used to be the Friends program many years ago.
Yeah.
There is an existing parking lot there that has 2 driveways onto Pleasant Street. So with this new parking, we're eliminating those driveways on Pleasant Street. Everything will be down and accessed from the main driveway on Pleasant and Langley Parkway.
Nice.
And then, you know,
Interesting.
asking for some minor relief on the landscape standards of the existing parking lot because they don't meet. So we'd lose more spaces if we have to comply with the ordinance for interior landscaping. So, so this is really the best engineering layout that we can do to provide the necessary parking to meet the ordinance and meet the requirements of the facility.
So, just to emphasize a few of the facts that are really relevant to the variance standards. One is, as Tim mentioned, this property has been here for over 30 years. We've had 3 decades plus of experience with how the parking works, the potential effect on the neighbors, safety concerns, and there's been no apparent problems with the existing parking lot. The property is relatively unique. It's technically a large parcel, as Chris explained. We have the old Friends parcel adjoining us. What you're not seeing on this plan is the additional acreage to the south. This lot is actually bisected by Langley Parkway. So that 9 acres or so, 10 acres include the land on the south side of Langley Parkway, which is essentially unusable. So we're constrained by that. The topography is unique, as you've pointed out. It's sloping down. There are retaining walls involved. It requires a series of cuts and fills. Another unique feature is the building itself. We're not talking about a vacant lot that we're just starting from a clean slate. We've got an existing building that needs to be the addition, as Tim explained. The addition needs to be incorporated in a sensible way into that existing building, and alternatives have been explored to make the parking more compliant with the ordinance and address some of those features, but it doesn't work from a practical standpoint, given the various site constraints. It's worth noting and emphasizing that we're not asking for any relief from the minimum parking spaces required. We're providing what the ordinance requires based on a 1 per 225 square foot of medical office space. And the newly proposed parking that's being shown here will comply with all the current parking design standards except for the 30-foot front setback. So all the internal landscaped open space, size of spaces, all of those in the new spaces will comply with the current ordinance. As Chris mentioned, strict compliance with the terms of the ordinance would eliminate, by my count, at least 80 spaces. I think it actually probably would be more than that. So if we aren't getting these variances, we'd have to get variances from the number of parking spaces, which would have the significant disadvantage of not providing the operational needs of Dartmouth Hitchcock. The impacts of the proposed variances, on the other hand, are, in my mind, insignificant. The encroachment into the 30-foot front yard is along a major city street. It'll face into a slight incline and will be separated by the street by landscaping mandated by the ordinance and the site plan review regulations. The existing encroachments into the 10-foot buffer, that's the red, the dark red on the plan, are de minimis. It's a total of about 1,300, just under 1,400 square feet. So it's less than 0.5% of the total site impacted by that encroachment. And as the lot is presently constructed, the landscaping, the interior landscaping within the lots, all the various islands added up, comprises about 6% of the site. The project will increase the overall parking lot landscaping to 7.2%. So we're actually increasing the amount of interior landscaping by the design that we're proposing. As to the variance standards, as you know, several of those are interrelated, and they hinge largely on whether the variances will affect the essential character of the neighborhood or cause any undue safety hazards. None of the variances we're requesting will have any impact on the neighborhood. They're largely pre-existing conditions for over 30 years. None of the requested variances will cause any undue safety hazards. Again, they've existed for over 3 decades with no apparent problems, nor does the application of the ordinance provisions, which we're seeking relief from, bear any fair and substantial relationship to the general purposes of the ordinance. I view, and Mr. Thompson, correct me if I'm wrong, I view the ordinance requirement to bring new buildings and enlarged buildings into compliance with the current ordinance as a form of amortization of a non-conforming use. I see Laura shaking her head. I think the purpose is generally to attenuate non-conforming conditions where it's appropriate over a period of time. And although I think that's a legitimate policy goal in general, I think it's practically accomplished and is permissible when you can do it in a way that allows the continuing use and a reasonable expansion of that use. For example, if this site had additional land where you could relocate the parking and we were proposing this addition, then application of this provision of the ordinance would make perfect sense because you've got the extra land to build the extra parking. that is not the case here. Likewise, an amortization provision like this might make some sense if the non-conforming conditions, the existing conditions, were so pervasive or severe that it creates some public hazard that you're trying to get rid of. And again, that's not the case here. The pre-existing conditions are, in my mind, de minimis. They've worked well. They've served the public well. They've served the applicant well for over 3 decades. So there's no fair and substantial relationship between applying that amortization provisions in your ordinance to this particular set of facts. I'd also note that in my mind, I think these types of provisions are also constitutionally suspect. And if you were to fail to grant the variances, I think it might be considered some form of regulatory taking. I mentioned that just to preserve the record.
It's not a threat.
That woke us up.
So for all of these reasons, we believe the variance requirements have been met for all 7 of these variance applications, and we ask the board to approve the complete package.
Questions from the board? Anyone? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here who'd like to be heard in favor of this appeal? Is there anyone here who would like to be heard in opposition to it? Any comments from the planning department?
I will refrain from commenting about the constitutional questions.
That was the best part.
I know.
Okay. With that, we'll declare the public testimony portion of the hearing closed, and we will invite discussion. And just because of earlier slights, I'm going to call on Ms. Spector-Morgan to lead us off with her thoughts on this case.
I don't have any issue with any of these variances. The vast majority of them relate to existing conditions that, as was discussed, have been there for 30 years. And the only one created by the new parking is within the 30 front yard setback, and that's just consistent with the rest of the parking on the property. And given the slope and difference in elevation, the purpose of not putting parking in the front setback is, visual, and you won't see them because they'll be lower. So I don't have any issue with any of them.
Very good. Mr. Witters.
Yeah, I agree. It's a, very unique lot, of course, that, it's amazing how much activity is there, and it's really not very visible unless you pull in. I mean, if you're coming from Langley or Pleasant, you wouldn't know how expansive it is. And so I agree that, putting the parking in the front is not in any way going to change the character at all of that area, and the rest of it, I think it would be an unfair hardship to try to make them reconfigure the lot when it's a reasonable use to add on to their work there that will benefit the community.
Ms. Rice.
I agree. I think that so much of this is existing non-conforming use. It's really not going to change. It doesn't impact the public in any way. And the buffer zone thing, as everyone said, it's below grade, so it's or below street level, so it's not going to be in the public view. And it is an odd-shaped lot that they have to do a lot of work on. So.
Mr. Wallner.
Nothing more to add to what my colleagues have said.
Nor do I have anything more to add. Would anyone care to make a motion?
This time I'm going to cheat.
Thank you.
All of them. You want my notes?
Nope. I wrote them down. I move to grant the variance from section 2877G1 to continue to allow existing parking located within the required 30-foot setback per the staff's suggested motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
A discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The
I
variance is granted.
Okay. I move to grant the variance from section 2877G1 to allow proposed parking located within the required 30-foot front setback per the staff suggested motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The variance is granted.
I move to grant the variance from section 2877G2 to continue to allow parking located within 10 feet of the edge of the right-of-way per the staff suggested motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed?
Oh, sorry. Got ahead of myself.
Variance is granted.
I move to grant the variance from section 28710A to continue to allow off-street parking to be located within 10-foot wide perimeter landscape buffer per the staff suggested motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The variance is granted.
I move to grant the variance from section 28710B to continue to allow non-conforming landscaped open space within the parking lot interior to have horizontal dimensions of less than 9 feet per the staff suggested motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The variance is granted.
I move to grant the variance from section 28710B to continue to allow non-conforming parking spaces to continue to be located more than 120 feet from landscaped opened areas within the parking lot per the staff suggested motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The variance is granted.
And finally, I move to grant the variance from section 28711A to continue to allow non-conforming conditions to exist with respect to the parking lot per the staff's suggested motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The variance is granted. That takes care of case number 410. Do we have a quorum to approve last month's minutes, May 6 minutes? Yeah.
Absences are no reason you can't vote on the minutes, so.
Okay. Would anyone care to move a motion, or make a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
No one opposed? Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Brenda seconded.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I don't think so. Okay.